Hello everyone and welcome back into the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Wild Things taking game one of this three-game series that had to be finished today by a score of 7-3. We are live from UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky now for game two of your three-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Hi everyone, I'm Zach Ziegler taking you through all the action here in the 2016 season. Wild Things finishing game one of the three-game series this afternoon at 4:05 was the first pitch, and the Wild Things came out on top in that one with a score of 7-3. Zach Groats got the win in the game, and Patrick McGrath got the loss. Groats 3 2/3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen for your Washington Wild Things. Did a great job in giving the team the lead and keeping the team with the lead in the ball game. Wild Things improved to 31-30 on the year, looking to take the series now here in game two of this three-game series, the seven-game variety, as it is the second game we have played today. You're listening to the Washington Wild Things pregame show. Coming up, a recap of earlier today's game one finish, as the Wild Things winning 7-3. Also going to take a look at some scores from around the league. Going to take a quick look at the standings prior to tonight's game. And also going to give you a look at the lineups and the pitching matchup in this one. It's all coming up right here on the MSA Sports Network. Now, it took 2 days and 9 innings, but your Wild Things able to come out on top 7-3 over the Florence Freedom in game one of this three-game series. It started the Wild Things on the board in the top of the first. Andrew Heck and Chris Grayson flew out to start the game. Then Ricky Rodriguez got the first Wild Things hit of the game, lining a ball in the left field for a base hit. Next batter, Dave Popkins, would double. Rodriguez got it at third, so there'd be runners at second and third with 2 men out before Logan Uxa came through with a 2 RBI single that scored Rodriguez and Popkins and gave the Wild Things a 2-0 lead. Then Kyle Pollock would strike out for the first out in that top of the first inning. Bottom of the second, Wild Things would be right back on the board once again. Jimmy Yezzo flew out to start things, but then Jamadric Magruder, a 1-out single and a runner on base with 1 man out. Magruder would then steal second, his third stolen base of the year. Austin Wobrock would ground out, moving Magruder to third with 2 men out, and then a wild pitch brought Magruder home and gave the Wild Things a 3-0 lead. Next batter, Andrew Heck, he struck out, and that ended the inning. Then a couple of scoreless innings for your Washington Wild Things. They sent 3 men to the plate in the third and sent 4 men in the plate to the fourth, but could not get a run across in the game. Wild Things starter Trevor Foss, a little wild in the beginning, and he could not pick up his 9th complete game of the year. First inning, gave up a single to Andre Mercurio. Then Taylor Oldham hit into a fielder's choice before he got a big double play ball from Andrew Godbold. Had runners on base in every inning for Trevor Foss, as he just wasn't the normal Trevor Foss on the night, allowing guys on base. Didn't allow any runs until the 5th inning when the Florence Freedom would get on the board. But first, the Wild Things would score in the top of the 5th. Austin Wobrock single to lead things off, then stole his 6th base of the year, stealing second base, getting a runner at second with nobody out. Next batter, Andrew Heck, would walk, so there'd be runners at first and second with nobody out before Chris Grayson flew out, and that would end the starter Patrick McGrath's day. Patrick McGrath in total went 4 1/3, gave up 4 runs, all earned on 5 hits, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts for the lefty. Reliever Zach Wendorf came into the game, got Ricky Rodriguez to hit into a fielder's choice. However, scoring on the play was Austin Wobrock. It was Rodriguez's 23rd RBI of the year, and the Wild Things led by the score of 4-0. Then Dave Popkins would fly out to end that top of the 5th. Then in the bottom of the 5th inning, Trevor Foss back out on the mound. Daniel Frog, a single to lead things off against him. Next batter was Mason Salazar. Salazar would single, so there'd be runners at first and second, with nobody out before Travis Weaver hit into a fielder's choice. Mason Salazar was thrown out at second base. Next batter, Andre Mercurio, hit an RBI double that scored Daniel Fraga and made the score 4-1 Wild Things. Then Taylor Oldham was hit by a pitch. The bases were loaded with for the Florence Freedom with just 1 man out, and then the rain started coming down as it delayed the game for 35 minutes before the umpires decided to postpone this one until this afternoon. So fast forward to 4:05 this afternoon. Zach Groats out on the mound relieving Trevor Foss. Foss's final line went 4 1/3, gave up 3 runs, all earned on 7 hits, 2 walks, and no strikeouts on the day for the righty Trevor Foss. And the first pitch Zach Groats threw got by Kyle Pollock to the backstop and allowed Travis Weaver to come in to score. That made the score 4-2. Wild Things with still one man out and runners at second and third. Then Andrew Godbold hit a sacrifice fly that scored Andre Mercurio. That made it 4-3 before Isaac Wenrick would ground out to end the inning, and that ended the threat. Then Zach Groats, very good, went 3 complete innings of work, 3 2/3 total, only giving up 1 hit and striking out 5 and not walking a batter in those 3 2/3 innings of work. Wild Things will get on the board in the top of the 6th. Logan Uxa took the first pitch he saw and lined it over the right field wall for a solo home run. It was Uxa's 5th home run of the year, his 3rd RBI of the day, and the Wild Things would lead 6-3. Next batter, Kyle Pollock struck out looking before Jimmy Yezzo singled, and Jamadrick Magruder grounded out, and Austin Wilbrock struck out to end the inning. Wild Things got back on the board in the top of the 7th. Andrew Heck singled to start things, then Chris Grayson flew out. Ricky Rodriguez would then single, so there'd be runners at first and second with one man out before Dave Popkins came through with an RBI double. Heck would score, and the Wild Things would lead by a score of 6-3. Next batter, Logan Uxa hit a sacrifice fly to right. That scored Ricky Rodriguez. That made it 7-3 Wild Things. Then in the bottom of the 9th, the Florence Freedom tried to threaten against reliever Devin Davis. Leadoff man Josh Henderson doubled to start things. Then Sean Cooper singles. There were runners at first and third with nobody out before Garrett Vale grounded out. And then Mason Salazar hit an RBI single. That scored Cooper from third, and the Florence Freedom cut the lead at 7-4. Next batter, Travis Weaver, would hit into a fielder's choice, and that would end the game. The Wild Things would get the win, improved to 31-30 on the year as they got the 7-4 victory over the Florence Freedom. The winner in that game, Zach Groats. Groats improved to 2-2. The losing pitcher on the day, was Patrick McGrath. McGrath fell to 2-5 on the season. Getting you ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Game 1 finishing up just about an hour ago and getting ready to start Game 2 of this 3-game series. Looking at the scoreboard around the Frontier League, got a full slate of action here for you on this Saturday night. Game 1 between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom wrapping up about an hour ago. The Wild Things got the win, winning by the score of 7-4. Other action around the league tonight. No other games have started. At 6 p.m. Eastern, the Southern Illinois Miners and the Schaumburg Boomers will do action. Corey Sessions making his Southern Illinois Miners debut, facing off against Brett Mabry for the Schaumburg Boomers. Mabry 1-2. The River City Rascals take on the Joliet Slammers tonight at 6:05. Jake Negretti takes the hill for the Rascals. He's 0-2, taking on Shane Bryant for the Slammers. Bryant is 3-2. The Slammers, the team your Washington Wild Things are chasing. Wild Things currently 3 games back of the Joliet Slammers after picking up the win in Game 1 of this 3-game series. Then the Lake Erie Crushers travel to the Normal Corn Belchers. Juan Caballero takes the hill for the Crushers, 0-0, facing off against Horatio Acosta for the Normal Corn Belchers. Acosta sits at 5-2. Traverse City takes on the Evansville Otters at 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Tucker Simpson on the mound for the Traverse City Beach Bums, facing off against Luke Rennie for the Evansville Otters. And the other game in Frontier League play, the Windy City Thunderbolts travel to the Gateway Grizzlies. Tyler Murphy on the hill for the Thunderbolts against Vincent Molesky for the Gateway Grizzlies. Right now I'm going to send it down to the field for your national anthem. You're listening to Wild Things Baseball here on the MSA Sports Network. We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, getting you ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Wild Things taking Game 1 of this 3-game series by a score of 7-4 earlier in the day, looking to take this series with a win here in Game 2 over the Florence Freedom. Going to take a look at the starting lineups for tonight's game as they're announced on the field. Starting with your visiting Washington Wild Things, they enter this one with a record of 31-30. They lead off with their second baseman, Jamadric Magruder, batting second at center field. Chris Grayson hitting third at third base, Ricky Rodriguez. Batting fourth in right field, Dave Popkins. Hitting fifth at first, Logan Uxa. Batting sixth behind the plate, Kyle Pollock. Batting seventh, designated hitter Jimmy Yezzo. Batting eighth in left field, Grant Fink. And batting ninth will be the shortstop, Austin Wolbrock. On the mound for your Wild Things is right-hander Chase Cunningham. Cunningham has a record of 3-6 and a 4.25 ERA. For the Florence Freedom, they are taking the field now. They all align like this defensively in the outfield left to right. Josh Henderson, Andre Mercurio, and Andrew Godbold. Left side of the infield held down by Collins Cuthrell and Travis Weaver. Right side held down by Daniel Fraga and Taylor Oldham. Behind the plate is Garrett Vale, catching today's starting pitcher, Tony Vaca. Vaca comes into this one with a record of 0-1, a 4.54 ERA, appearing in his 25th game, making his second start of the year. He's gone 33 2/3 innings of work, giving up 36 hits, 21 runs, 17 earned on 16 walks, and 35 strikeouts for the right-hander. Vaca on the hill for the Florence Freedoms. We said his second start of the year. One more reminder of the lineup for your Wild Things. It'll be Jamadric Magruder, Chris Grayson, Ricky Rodriguez. Hitting fourth, Dave Popkins. In the 5-hole at first, Logan Uxa. Batting sixth and catching, Kyle Pollock. Hitting seventh, designated hitter Jimmy Yezzo. Batting eighth in left field, Grant Fink. And batting ninth at shortstop is Austin Wolbrock. Once again on the mound for your Wild Things is right-hander Chase Cunningham, 3-6 with a 4.25 ERA coming into this one. Making his way to the plate to lead things off here in Game 2 of this 3-game series is second baseman Jamadric Magruder. Magruder on the year is, currently hitting .244 with 1 home run and 5 RBIs. Just about underway here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Vaca has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Magruder takes this one in the outside corner for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. First pitch tonight thrown at 6:04 p.m. Eastern Time. And the temperature outside about 80 degrees. First pitch time and temperature brought to you by State Line Grocery and Hotspot. This one grounded to second. Handled over there by Fraga. His throw into first is in time to get Magruder. And that is out number 1 here in the top of inning number 1. So 1 up, 1 down for your Wild Things here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. And that'll bring to the plate the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson on the year currently hitting .301 with 2 home runs and 9 RBIs. That .301 average currently good for a tie for second place on this Wild Things team in terms of average. Tony Vaca looking in, has his sign. He said, here's the pitch. And Grayson takes this one low and outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. A little bit of clouds coming over the field here at UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky. But other than that, a great day for baseball. Vaca's 1-0, and that one's low for a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. Wild Things picking up the win in Game 1 of this series earlier today. Had to resume Game 1 as they got a 7-4 victory. Grayson fouls this one back to the screen, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count here on the Washington Wild Things center fielder, hitting that number 2 spot. Has been pretty good in that number 2 spot offensively as of late. The 2-1, and that one's outside for a ball. So Vaca falls behind Grayson. 3 balls and a strike for Tony Vaca on the hill. 1 start in the year, but the longest he's ever gone is 3 1/3 in a game this season. Vaca's pitch, and Grayson pops this one up. Back to shallow center. Mercurio coming in, and he will make the catch, and that's good for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for your Wild Things here in the top of the first, and that'll bring to the plate the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez on the year hitting .302 with 5 home runs and 22 RBIs. That .302 average good for first on the Washington Wild Things team. You had Chris Grayson leading the team, hitting .324 prior to Game 1, but now Rodriguez, your leader, hitting .302. Vaca set the pitch, and Rodriguez takes this one at the letters for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Vaca jumping ahead of Ricky Rodriguez. Here's the 0-1, and that one's outside on the outside corner for a strike as well. No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Ricky Rodriguez, playing third base for the second game here in this series. Here's the 0-2 pitch. A check swing, and Rodriguez went around, so that is a strikeout. The first strikeout of the day for Vaca, and that ends the inning. 1-2-3 go your Wild Things here in the first. After half an inning of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, and the Florence Freedom coming to bat. Game 2 of this three-game series, your Wild Things getting the win in Game 1, winning by the score of 7-4. Logan Uxa, the star of the game in Game 1, getting 4 RBIs on the day, including a solo home run, a 2 RBI single, and a sac fly on the day. Drove in 4 of the team's 7 runs, and a great job at the plate for the Wild Things. Chase Cunningham coming to the hill to make the start today, his 12th start of the year, coming off 2 of his worst starts of the season against the Southern Illinois Miners, so looking to rebound in this one. The Wild Things will align defensively like this in the outfield left to right. Grant Fink, Chris Grayson, and Dave Popkins. Left side of the infield held down by Ricky Rodriguez and Austin Wobrock. Right side by Jamadrick Magruder and Logan Uxa. And it'll be Kyle Pollock behind the plate, catching Chase Cunningham on the day. Cunningham enters with a record of 3-6, a 4.25 ERA, appearing in his 12th game, making his 12th start. He's thrown 61 1/3 innings pitched, giving up 58 hits on the year, 30 runs, 29 earned, striking out 26, and walking 20 in those 61 1/3 innings of work. The lineup for the Florence Freedom looks like this. They'll lead off with their center fielder, Andre Mercurio. Batting second at first base is Taylor Oldham. In the third spot in right field, Andrew Godbold. Batting fourth, designated hitter, Austin Newell. Batting fifth at third base, Collins Cuthrell. Batting sixth in left field, Josh Henderson. Hitting seventh and catching, Garrett Vale. Batting eighth at second base, Daniel Fraga. And batting ninth at shortstop is Travis Weaver. On the mound for the Florence Freedom, as you saw, was Tony Vaca. Vaca entering this game with a record of 0-1 with a 4.54 ERA, making his second start of the year. Chase Cunningham looking for a rebound start. Did not go 5 innings in either of his last 2 starts. His 2 worst starts of the year. Went 4 1/3, gave up 5 earned runs against Southern Illinois his last time, and 2 times ago went 4 and gave up 7 earned runs against Southern Illinois in that start. Andre Mercurio making his way to the plate here to lead off the bottom of the first. Mercurio on the year hitting .309, no home runs, and 11 RBIs in the leadoff spot for the second straight game for the Florence Freedom. Leads the team with that .309 average. Chase Cunningham looks in, has his sign. Here's the pitch, and that one's high and outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Andre Mercurio. And for Chase Cunningham, it's been a little wild in those last 2 starts, so it looks to be more consistent in the strike zone. The 1-0, and that one's outside as well, so Cunningham falling behind the first batter he faces here. 2 balls and no strikes. There was a string where Cunningham in the beginning of the season had not given up more than 3 runs in a ball game. The last 2 outings not going his way, however. This next pitch outside for a ball, and he falls behind Andre Mercurio to start this game. 3 balls and no strikes. 3-0 the count. Chase Cunningham has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's in there for a strike on the inside corner. Count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. 3-1 the count. Umpires for tonight's game. Behind home plate, Andy Dodonis. And on the bases is Brian Miller. Cunningham has his sign, the 3-1. And that one swung on and fouled back to the screen. So the count will go full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Cunningham fighting back after falling behind 3-0, and the count to Andre Mercurio has the count full now. Taylor Oldham, the on-deck batter for the Florence Freedom. Chase Cunningham looks into Kyle Pollock. Cunningham has his sign. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And that one hits off the hand of Andre Mercurio. A hit by pitch, and the leadoff man is on here in the bottom of inning number 1. Mercurio reaches base, and that'll bring to the plate the first baseman, Taylor Oldham. Oldham on the year, currently hitting .303, 8 home runs, and 47 RBIs. That .303 average good for third on the team. Oldham making his way to the plate. So Mercurio reaches after a hit by pitch, and as we were talking about, Cunningham has been very wild in his last couple starts here against Southern Illinois. He walked 6 in that last game against Southern Illinois, walked 3 the game before that, but just hasn't been around the strike zone. And when he's not around the strike zone, he's not a guy who's going to do well. Doesn't have blow it by his stuff, so he's got to work on staying on the corners and getting the ground balls that he's used to. Oldham at the plate. Cunningham has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the pitch on the way. Oldham showing bunt. He'll get this one down. Rodriguez charging, bare hands, throws to first, and it's not in time. It's a bunt single for Taylor Oldham, and the first two men reach here for the Florence Freedom against Chase Cunningham. So there's runners at first and second with nobody out, and that brings up the right fielder, Andrew Godbold. Godbold on the year is currently hitting .296, 9 home runs, and 34 RBIs. His 9 home runs is good for first on this Florence Freedom team, and the 34 RBIs have him tied for second on the team behind Taylor Oldham, who stands at first base. Chase Cunningham looks in, has his sign, he's set, checks Mercurio at second, and the pitch. And Godbold check swing to first, handled by Uxa. Throw to second for one, on to first, and it's not going to be in time for the double play. Oldham a takeout slide at second base, breaking up that double play. Very smart base running by him, so 3-6 on the fielder's choice. Godbold reaches first. Oldham called out at second. And actually, everyone's safe as Oldham gets in there at second base. They say that Wobrock never touched the bag, so the bases will be full of Florence Freedom here with nobody out. They call him safe at second as Oldham apparently got in there and Wobrock apparently never touched the base. So the base is full of Freedom. That brings Austin Newell to the plate, the DH. Newell on the year, currently hitting .262 with 2 home runs and 34 RBIs. Andre Mercurio at third, Taylor Oldham at second, and Andrew Godbold at first. Cunningham has his sign. He's set, checks third, and the pitch. And Newell takes this one for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Cunningham in a jam right away. Bases are loaded here with nobody out in the bottom of inning number 1. Cunningham looks in, checks Mercurio at third, and the no ball, 1 strike pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Newell, and the count goes to 0-2. Now, Cunningham, not a guy who's going to strike out a lot of batters. Only 26 strikeouts in 61 and a third innings of work. But if you could get one, here's the time you want one. Bases loaded, nobody out. Don't let Newell get anything to hit. Chase Cunningham looks in, has his sign, he's set. And checks third, the 0-2. And this one grounded right back to the mound. Cunningham to the plate for one, on to first, and it's in time for the double play. Just what Chase Cunningham needed. A double play, 1-2 to 3. As cut down at the plate is Andre Mercurio, and Austin Newell thrown out going to first. Now a much better situation for Cunningham. 2 outs, runners at second and third, and that brings to the plate the number 5 hitter, Collins Cuthrell. Cuthrell on the year is currently hitting .211 with 8 home runs and 34 RBIs. 2 men out, bottom of the first. No score between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Chase Cunningham looking in to Kyle Pollock. Cunningham shakes off the first sign, now has one he wants. He's set, checks third, and the pitch. And Cuthrell takes that one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Couldn't ask for a better situation now for Cunningham after having the bases loaded, nobody out. A ground ball right back to the mound. He was able to throw home, and they threw to first to complete that double play. Cunningham has his sign. He's set, and now time is called behind the plate. The runner at third is Taylor Oldham, and the runner at second, Andrew Godbold, with 2 men out in this bottom of the first inning. Cunningham has his sign, the 1-0. And that one's high for a ball, and the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count on Collins Cuthrell. Cuthrell did not start in Game 1 of this 3-game series as Mason Salazar got the start at third base. Cunningham has his sign, the 2-ball, no-strike pitch. And Cuthrell pops this one up right side in foul territory. Uxa giving chase over by the stands, and he ends up running out of room as that one will fall into the stands, and the count will go to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count here on Collins Cuthrell. Cuthrell listed on the roster for Florence as an outfielder, but a utility man, able to play the infield as well, getting the start at third base here in this game. 2 balls and a strike, 2 men out. Chase Cunningham trying to get out of this inning scoreless after loading the bases with nobody out to start the game. Cunningham looking in to Kyle Pollock. Cunningham has his sign, he's set, and the 2-ball, 1-strike pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Cuthrell, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 2 men out, bottom of the first. No score between your Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Wild Things winning the first game by the score of 7-4. The game was postponed last night and resumed this afternoon. Cunningham looking in, has his sign. He's set, checks third, and the 2-2 pitch. And a swing and a ground ball towards short. Wobrock goes through his glove. Scoring is Taylor Oldham, and now Andrew Godbold comes around, and on base with 2 runs coming in is Collins Cuthrell. Looked like a routine ground ball to shortstop. They're calling it an E6, no RBIs for Collins Cuthrell, but it was a routine ground ball right to shortstop. Unfortunately, went under the glove of Austin Wobrock. Did not bounce as high as he thought it was going to. Godbold and Oldham will score, and the Freedom take a 2-0 lead over your Washington Wild Things. E6 gets Collins Cuthrell at first, and Josh Henderson to the plate. Henderson on the year, currently hitting .292 with a homer and 17 RBIs. Cunningham's pitch, and that one's high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. So just when it looked like Cunningham was going to get out of a bad situation there, the bases loaded, nobody out, got that double play ball, and then the error allows 2 runs to score. Cunningham has his sign, the 1-0, and that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count here on Josh Henderson. It was the Wild Things that took the early lead in last night's start of the ball game. Tonight, Florence Freedom taking the early lead in this one. Cunningham set, and the 2-0. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 3 balls and no strikes. 3-0 the count here on Josh Henderson. 2 men out in the bottom of the first inning. Taylor Oldham and Andrew Godbold both coming in to score on the E6. That allowed Cuthrell to reach base, the 3-0, and that one's called a strike. 3 balls and a strike. That one getting in on the knees of Josh Henderson. 3 balls, 1 strike, 2 men out, bottom of the first, and a 2-0 Florence Freedom lead. Cunningham has his sign, the 3-1. Taking off for second is Cuthrell, and that pitch is high for ball 4. The first walk of the day for Chase Cunningham, and now there are runners at first and second with 2 men out, and that'll bring to the plate the catcher Garrett Vale. Vale on the season, hitting .284 with 3 home runs and 15 RBIs. 2 men out, bottom of the first, 2 runs in already on the E6. Austin Wobrock getting an error at shortstop as it bounced under his glove and allowed Cuthrell to reach and had 2 runs to score. Chase Cunningham looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch to Vale. And that one is inside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Garrett Vale. Isaac Wenrick started last night's game behind the plate and started the resume game today, so Garrett Vale behind the plate for game 2. Cunningham has his sign, he's set, the 1-0. And Vale takes this one for a strike at the letters. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Isaac Wenrick, the primary catcher for these Florence Freedom, and Garrett Vale, the backup duties. Vale in there today for game 2. Cunningham looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And this one fouled off to the right. That'll get back into the seats, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, 2 men out here on Garrett Vale. The Freedom lead 2-0 over your Washington Wild Things here in the bottom of inning number 1. 2 runs coming in on that error by Austin Wobrock. Chase Cunningham, the right-handed pitcher, facing off against Garrett Vale, the right-handed batter. Runner at second is Collins Cuthrell. Runner at first, Josh Henderson. Cunningham has his sign, he's set, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And this one grounded towards third. Rodriguez will go over to field it, but it will be in foul territory, and the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. Florence Freedom manager Dennis Pelfrey coaching over in the third base coaching box for Florence. That one right by him over there. Chase Cunningham looks in to Kyle Pollock. Cunningham has his sign. He's set. Checks second base, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And this one fouled off back to the screen, and the count remains 1-2. Garrett Vale fighting off 2 tough pitches here to stay alive against Chase Cunningham. Cunningham's had to do work here in this first inning. A hit by pitch for Mercurio started this one with the full count. Taylor Oldham singled. Andrew Godbold hit into a fielder's choice, but was able to reach base. Austin Newell double play, error for Cuthrell, and a walk for Henderson. Cunningham has his sign, the 1-2 pitch. Cuthrell taking for third, and Henderson going for second, but no one covering the second base bag, so it'll be a double steal. Collins Cuthrell in there at third, and Josh Henderson in there at second. Each gather a stolen base here in the bottom of the first. Now there's 2 men on second and third with 2 outs, 2-2 the count. Chase Cunningham looking in. Cunningham has his sign. He's set, the 2-2 pitch. And that one's in the dirt. Count will go full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count here on Garrett Vale. Vale behind the plate. Chase Cunningham wants to avoid walking him with 2 men out. The on-deck man for the Freedom is Daniel Fraga. Cunningham has his sign. He's set, and the 3 ball, 2 strike pitch. And this one grounded foul off to the left. So once again, Garrett Vale fighting off another tough pitch and staying alive here against Chase Cunningham. Cunningham, as we said, has been struggling on the mound as of late. So far giving up 2 runs here in this first inning, but neither of those runs will be earned to him as they both scored on the air by Woodrock. Cunningham has his sign, the 3-2 pitch. And this ball hit to center field. Chris Grayson drifting over into right center field, calling for it, and he will make the running catch, and that will end the inning. For the Florence Freedom, they get 2 runs in the inning, courtesy of only 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left on base. After 1 inning of play, the score, the Florence Freedom 2, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. So Chase Cunningham getting roughed up in that first inning, as we said, coming off his 2 worst starts of the season. So far, neither of those runs are earned, so we'll see if he can come back and pitch efficiently the rest of the ball game. This is a 7-inning game as we are playing the second game of the day here by Frontier League rules. No matter how you get to playing the first game, the second game has to be 7 innings long, so only playing 7 in this one. Tony Vaca coming back out for his second inning of work. Vaca in that first inning got the Wild Things 1-2-3, a very efficient first inning as his deepest count was 3-1. Before getting Chris Grayson to pop out. Other than that, a 2-pitch at-bat to Jamadric Magruder and a 3-pitch strikeout by Ricky Rodriguez. So 1-2-3, the Wild Things went in that first inning. Jamadric Magruder grounded out, Chris Grayson popped out, and Ricky Rodriguez struck out to end that first inning. Due up here in the second, Dave Popkins, Logan Uxa, and Kyle Pollock, 4, 5, and 6, facing off against the righty Tony Vaca. Now Vaca, only 1 start on the year, and the most he's gone in a game is 3 1/3 innings of work. He started back on July the 6th, working against the Southern Illinois Miners in that game. Went 3 innings, gave up 1 run. It was earned on 4 hits, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts in the ball game. So far, a 1-2-3 inning for him here in the bottom of the first, going into this bottom of the second inning. Coaching on the bases for your Washington Wild Things in this one. At third base, manager Greg Langben, and at first base is the hitting coach, Mike Marshall. Dave Popkins, Logan Uxa, and Kyle Pollock set to be up in this second inning as the Wild Things try to fight back from this 2-0 lead that the Florence Freedom have here in Game 2. Wild Things won Game 1 by the score of 7-4 over the Florence Freedom. Dave Popkins making his way to the plate here to lead things off in the top of the second. Popkins so far on the year, 301, 10 home runs and 34 RBIs. Those 10 homers and 34 RBIs are both good for first on this Washington Wild Things team. Tony Vaca looking in to Vale. Vaca has his sign, the pitch, and Popkins takes this one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Want to know the count here on the Wild Things right fielder, Popkins. Popkins in that 4 spot, the 1-0, and that one's outside for a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count here on the Wild Things right fielder, Dave Popkins. Has only missed 1 game all season long. He sat out June the 12th, the 2-0, and that one swung on and missed, and the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count here on Dave Popkins. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Wild Things looking for a series victory tonight. The 2-1, and that one's outside for a ball, so the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. 3-1 the count on the switch hitting Dave Popkins, batting from the left side. Vaca's 3-1 pitch, and that one's a called strike, and the count goes full 3 balls and 2 strikes. Popkins thought about taking the trot down to first, but then the pitch called a strike by home plate umpire Andy Dodonis, so Popkins will have to do it again. The 3-2 pitch, and this ball popped foul off to the left, and it'll go over towards the kids' zone here in Florence, Kentucky, and the count remains 3-2. Logan Uxa, the on-deck batter for your Washington Wild Things. Vaca has his sign, the 3-2, and this one fouled off as well, so Popkins fighting off 2 tough pitches and staying alive here against Tony Vaca in the top of the second. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Vaca looking in, has his sign. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And Popkins pops this one foul off to the left. And again, we will do it with a 3-ball, 2-strike count. That one landing up in the suite level here at UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky. Wild Things in their red alternate jerseys with the gray road pants. The Florence Freedom, their white home jerseys with the red lettering. The 3-2, And that one's high, ball 4. First walk of the day for Tony Vaca. First base runner for the Washington Wild Things as Dave Popkins reaches here in the top of the second. And that brings up the first baseman, Logan Uxa. Uxa so far on the year hitting .270, 5 home runs, and 16 RBIs. That .270 average pushes him ahead of Kyle Pollock for 4th on the team in terms of average. Drove in 4 of the team's 7 runs in game 1 of this 3-game series. Vaca has his sign, the pitch, and Uxa takes this one for a strike on the outside corner. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Logan Uxa. Nobody out top of the second. Dave Popkins the runner at first. Vaca has his sign and the 0-1 pitch. And Uxa takes this one outside. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Only playing 7 innings here in game 2 of this 3-game series, as it's the second game of the day. Tony Vaca has his sign. He's set. And the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And Uxa hits this one down the right field line and deep. It's hooking and will land foul over in the grass area beyond the right field wall in foul territory. And the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Uxa hit his 5th home run of the year earlier today in the resumed part of game 1 of the 3-game series. He hit it over the right field wall and into the bullpen of the Florence Freedom. Vaca has his sign. He's set. And the 1-2 pitch. And that one's a called strike 3. Logan Uxa strikes out. And that's the first out here in the top of the second. Second strikeout of the day for Tony Vaca. And that'll bring to the plate the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock on the year is hitting .263 with 1 home run and 9 RBIs. 1 man out top of the second. 2-0 Florence Freedom lead over your Wild Things. Vaca has his sign, checks first, and the pitch. And that one's in there for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on Kyle Pollock, batting from the right side against the right-handed pitcher Tony Vaca. Dave Popkins takes his lead from first. Vaca has his sign. He's set. And the 0-1 pitch. And Pollock takes this one outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Vaca a little wild here in this second inning. 3-2 count on Dave Popkins before walking him. Then a 1-2 count on the strikeout of Uxa. Vaca's sign, the 1-1, and this one lined on the left field line, and that'll go foul and into the seating area off to the left, so the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Kyle Pollock. 1 man out here in the top of the second. Fans scurrying for that ball over there on the left side of this field here at UC Health Stadium. Vaca has his sign, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes even at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 man out top of the second. 2-0 Florence Freedom lead. And the primary catcher, Kyle Pollock, at the plate. For Tony Vaca has been mostly out of the bullpen for the Freedom this season. 24 games appeared in just 1 start. Ground to the left side, and that one's just foul for Kyle Pollock. Nearly a double there for Pollock. Popkins decent speed at first. He might have been able to score, but that's a bunch of what-ifs. And the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Dave Popkins at first base, currently 4th on the team with 4 stolen bases on the year. Vaca has his sign and the 2-2 pitch. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes full here to Kyle Pollock. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. 1 man out top of the second. 2-0 Florence Freedom lead. Tony Vaca looking in. Vaca has his sign. He's set. And the time is called behind the plate as Garrett Vale wants to go through the signs once more. The on-deck hitter, Jimmy Yezzo, for your Washington Wild Things. Vaca set, and the 3-2 pitch. Taking off for second is Vaca, swing and a miss by Pollock. The throw down, and it's in time. A strike him out, throw him out, double play, and that will end the inning. No runs for the Wild Things on no hits, no errors, and nobody left on here in the top of the second. After an inning and a half of play, the score, the Florence Freedom 2 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. And as we head to the bottom of the second, Chase Cunningham today, a little wild in that first inning, has not been very good in his last 2 starts. Gave up 7 earned runs 2 starts ago against Southern Illinois Miners, 5 earned runs his last time out against the Southern Illinois Miners. Cunningham trying to bounce back here in this one. He gave up 2 runs in that first inning, but neither of them were earned, as a ground ball by Austin Wobrock bounced under the glove of Wobrock and allowed Taylor Oldham and Andrew Godbold to score to give the Freedom this early lead. See if the Wild Things can bounce back offensively. The Wild Things, another thing they have trouble with is getting Cunningham some run support this year. Earlier in the year, he had not gotten more than 1 run of support in 5 consecutive starts. That was back in early June, as he had a string there, so hopefully the offense can get him some runs here. Currently down 2-0. Last inning for the Florence Freedom. Andre Mercurio was hit by a pitch to start things. Then Taylor Oldham singled. So there are runners at first and second with nobody out before Andrew Godbold hit to a fielder's choice. It was a 3-6. However, Austin Woldrock apparently did not have his foot on the second base bag, so the bases were full of Freedom with nobody out. Then Austin Newell ground ball right back to the mound. They got a 1-2-3 double play out of it as Andre Mercurio thrown out of the plate. Then there were 2 outs and runners at second and third. Before that, ground ball hit the shortstop by Collins Cuthrell. Bounced under the glove of Austin Woldrock, allowed Oldham and Godbold to score, and the Freedom took a 2-0 lead. Next batter, Josh Henderson would walk. Then a double steal by Cuthrell and Henderson put runners at second and third with 2 outs before Garrett Vale flew out to end the inning. Due up here in the second, Daniel Fraga, Travis Weaver, and Andre Mercurio, 8-9-1, facing off against Cunningham. Fraga making his way to the plate, and Daniel Fraga on the year is currently hitting 222 with 1 home run and 20 RBIs. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Bottom of the second, Florence Freedom lead this one 2-0. Cunningham has his sign. Here's the pitch. Fraga showing bunt, and he'll take this one for a strike on the outside corner. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Daniel Fraga. Nobody out, bottom of the second. Cunningham has his sign. Here's the 0-1 pitch. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes even to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on the Florence Freedom second baseman. Fraga, in the last series, was the leadoff hitter for the Florence Freedom, down to the number 8 spot today. The 1-1, and that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count here on Daniel Fraga. Fraga looking to get on base to lead things off here in the bottom of the second. Cunningham's 2-1, and that one's a called strike on the outside corners. The count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. For Chase Cunningham, a guy who likes to work low in the zone and does it often, gets a lot of ground balls when he's on the mound. The 2-2 pitch, and this ball popped up behind home plate. Kyle Pollock giving it a chase over towards his dugout, and he will make the catch, and that is out number 1 here in the bottom of the second. 1 up, 1 down for the Florence Freedom, and that'll bring to the plate the shortstop, Travis Weaver. Weaver so far in the year is hitting .256 with 3 home runs and 19 RBIs. 1 man out here in the bottom of the second of this 7-inning game. Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Cunningham looks in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Weaver takes this one for a strike on the inside corner. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Florence Freedom shortstop. 1 man out, hitting in that number 9 hole for the second straight game. The 0-1, and that one's in there as well. So Cunningham getting ahead of Weaver here. No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count, just 1 man out in the bottom of the second. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And this one grounded towards short, and Woldrock in the shift won't be able to get to it. It's into left center field for a base hit. A single for Travis Weaver. Austin Woldrock was shifted over towards third base a little bit out of his normal position, so he did not have the range to get to that ball. It's a 1-out single for Travis Weaver, and that brings to the plate the center fielder, Andre Mercurio. Mercurio so far, no official at bat, hit by a pitch his first time around, and in last night's game, went a total of 2 for 4, single, double play, and a strikeout on the day. Chase Cunningham looking in to Kyle Pollock. Cunningham checks first, has his sign, throw over there, and getting back is Travis Weaver. Weaver on the year currently has 9 stolen bases, which is good for 5th on this Freedom team. Cunningham has his sign. Here's the pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes here on Mercurio. 1-0 the count. Andre Mercurio wearing a special jersey today. Got a cow print jersey on, wearing double zeros for the Florence Freedom. 1 ball, no strike, 1 man out. Cunningham looks in. Cunningham checks first, has his sign, he's set. Throw over to first, and getting back over there is Travis Weaver. 1 out with a runner at first here in the bottom of the second. 1-0 the count on Andre Mercurio as the number 9 hitter Travis Weaver was able to single through the left side. Cunningham has his sign, he's set. The 1 ball, no strike pitch. And that one's high for a ball. 2 balls and no strikes now the count on Andre Mercurio. Now, as we said, prior to his last 2 starts, Chase Cunningham was very good with control. Had only walked, 8 in his first 9 starts of the season. Now has 20 walks in his 61 and a third innings pitch. The 2-0, and that one swung on a miss by Mercurio, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count here on the leadoff man for the Florence Freedom. Chase Cunningham in those last 2 starts, both against Southern Illinois Miners, has 9 walks in those last 2 starts. So he has been wild lately, trying to settle down today. So far in the day, has 1 walk back in the first inning. Cunningham has his sign. He's set, and a throw over to first. And getting back again is Travis Weaver. Cunningham keeping a very close eye on Weaver over there. Kyle Pollock has done a very nice job behind the plate of cutting runners down. Had 5 straight caught stealing going into Tuesday night's game. That streak was canceled on that day, and caught a guy earlier today in the resumed half of Game 1. Time called behind the plate as Andre Mercurio thought Cunningham was taking just a little bit too long on the mound. Cunningham looks in to Kyle Pollock. Has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at first, and the 2-ball, 1-strike pitch. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count here on Andre Mercurio. Chase Cunningham trying to avoid walking his second man of the day. Has been a little wild around the zone already here in this start. 2 straight bad starts. He's 0-2 in his last 2 starts. Looking to rebound today. Cunningham set, checks first, the 3-1. And this one grounded to second. Magruder charging, tags the runner. No, he did not get the tag on the runner going to second, so he'll throw to first to get the out there. Only gets 1 out on the play. Travis Weaver ends up getting to second. Magruder did all he could to try and slap the tag on Weaver going by, but Brian Miller right there on top of it saw that Magruder did not get the glove on him, and that getting to second base was Travis Weaver. Andre Mercurio thrown out at first. That'll bring up the first baseman, Taylor Oldham. Oldham so far in this one, 1 for 1, singled and scored a run back in the first inning. Kyle Pollock going out to talk to Chase Cunningham for a little bit just to get him back in good spirits. Trying to get through this second inning cleanly. Gave up 2 runs in the first inning. Both those runs unearned as they came in on the error by Austin Walbrock. So Taylor Oldham at the plate. Chase Cunningham looking in. Cunningham to Pollock. Has his sign. He's set. And the pitch on the way to Oldham. And that one's low for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on Taylor Oldham. Oldham in last night's game ended up going 1 for 3. Double, fielder's choice, hit by pitch, and a strikeout on the day. Cunningham has his sign, checks second, the 1-0. Oldham showing bunt, gets it down. Chase Cunningham coming off the mound. He gets it. He held no play at first, and it's an infield bunt single for Taylor Oldham. Oldham's second hit of the day. Moving up to third is Travis Weaver. So there are runners at first and third with 2 men out, and that'll bring to the plate the right fielder, Andrew Godbold. Godbold so far on the day, 0 for 1 with a run scored in yesterday's ball game. Godbold went 0 for 3, hit into a double play, popped out, hit a sac fly, and flew out in the contest. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. There are runners at first and third here against Cunningham, trying to get out of this inning. Cunningham looks in, has his sign from Pollock. He's set, checks first, and the pitch on the way. And that one's in there for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on Andrew Godbold, the right fielder. Godbold was the first batter of the resumed part of the game for the Washington Wild Things and Florence Freedom in Game 1. Cunningham has his sign, the 0-1 pitch. And this ball lined to left field, and that is a base hit. Travis Weaver will come in to score, and it's now 3-0 Florence Freedom here in the bottom of the second. Andrew Godbold driving in his 35th RBI of the year. It is now 3-0 Florence Freedom after that RBI single, and runners are at first and second with still 2 men out, and that'll bring to the plate the designated hitter, Austin Newell. Newell so far in the day, 0 for 1, hit into a double play in his first at-bat. Newell did not play in Game 1 of this 3-game series between your Wild Things and the Freedom. Cunningham has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And this one lined back to the screen, foul, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the designated hitter, Austin Newell. Newell hitting the number 4 spot. Last game, the number 4 hitter was the catcher, Isaac Wenrick. Runners at first and second here with 2 men out. Cunningham looking in. Cunningham has his sign. He's set. And the no-ball, 1-strike pitch. And this ball hit deep to right field, and luckily for the Wild Things, that one is hooking and will go way foul as the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. A long strike 2 for Austin Newell as he'll step back in with 2 outs in the bottom of the second. If that one was fair, that would have spelled disaster for the Wild Things. Chase Cunningham looking in to Kyle Pollock, facing off against the left-handed hitting Austin Newell. Cunningham shakes off the first sign. Now has one he likes. He's set, checks second, and the 0-2 pitch. And this one hit to left center field. Going over is Grant Fink, and he will make the catch, and that is out number 3. But the Florence Freedom get another run in the inning on 3 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. After 2 innings of play, the score, the Florence Freedom 3 and your Washington Wild Things nothing here in this one. Cunningham giving up another run in the second inning, as he's given up 3 in the game so far to this point. And right now getting kind of roughed around by these Florence Freedom. As we said, he gave up 5 earned runs last time against Southern Illinois, 7 earned runs the time before that against Southern Illinois. But prior to that start, he had only given up He'd only not given up more than 4 runs in a ball game. Gave up 4 runs on opening day against Gateway, where we went 5 innings of work. Other than that, it was 3 runs or fewer in every start since the last 2 outings. Tony Vaca back out there for his 3rd inning of work. And as we were talking about earlier, the longest Vaca's gone in a game is 3 1/3 innings, and that was last time out on July 24th against the Joliet Slammers. Went 3 1/3 in that one. Gave up 1 run. It was earned on 2 hits, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Faced 13 batters in that game in what would be a 7-4 loss for the Florence Freedom. So out there for his 3rd inning of work here in this one. Last inning for the Washington Wild Things, Dave Popkins walked to start things. Then Logan Uxa struck out. Kyle Pollock struck out. And Dave Popkins was caught stealing. It was a strike him out, throw him out double play to end that 2nd inning. Due up here in the 3rd, Jimmy Yezzo, Grant Fink, and Austin Wobrock, 7, 8, and 9, facing off against the right-hander, Tony Vaca. Jimmy Yezzo making his way to the plate right now. Yezzo on the year is hitting .221, 8 home runs, and 27 RBIs on the season. Yezzo's 8 home runs, good for 2nd on this Washington Wild Things team. Right-hander Tony Vaca looking into the catcher, Garrett Vale. Vaca looks in, has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Jimmy Yezzo, hitting from the left-handed side. Top of the 3rd, 3-0 Florence leads the 1-0, and this one hit to left field. Josh Henderson not having to move very much as he'll camp under it and make the catch. That's out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for your Wild Things here in the top of the 3rd. And that'll bring in the left fielder, Grant Fink. Fink so far on the year is hitting .189 with 5 home runs and 13 RBIs, getting the start at 3rd base here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Or excuse me, he's the left fielder in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Andrew Heck had started the last 6 games out there in left field for the Wild Things. Vaca has his sign, the pitch, and Fink takes this one for a strike at the letters, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Wild Things left fielder. Vaca looking in, has his sign, the 0-1. And that one's just low for a ball. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Grant Fink. Fink, the number 8 hitter in the order. Vaca's 1-1 pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count on Grant Fink. Fink's been in this number 8 spot for about the last week or so. He was hitting in the number 5 and 6 spots, now down to the 8 hole. Fink pops this one up foul, and it'll get back into the stands, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count here on the Wild Things 3rd baseman, Grant Fink. Austin Wobrock to follow him up in this one. Tony Vaca looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch, and Fink takes this one just low for a ball, and the count goes to 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count here on Grant Fink. The on-deck man for the Wild Things is Austin Wobrock. Vaca set the 3-2 pitch, and Fink a ground ball to short. Travis Weaver will handle it. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 2. 6-3 on the putout. 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things here in the top of the 3rd, and that brings up the shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock on the year is currently hitting, .203 with a homer and 13 RBIs coming into this ball game. Couple games, just 1 game underway here in the Frontier League as Southern Illinois and Schaumburg have just got it started in the top of the 1st. Wobrock rounds this one to 3rd. A sliding stop by Cuthrell. Throw to 1st, and it's in time for out number 3. A nice play there by Collins Cuthrell, and that will end the inning. 1-2-3 go the Wild Things here in the 3rd, and after 2.5 the score. Florence Freedom 3 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball here on the MSA Sports Network. Tony Vaca only allowing 1 base runner through the first 3 innings of work. That walk to Dave Popkins to lead off the second inning. Other than that, he has been very good on the day, has 3 strikeouts through 3 innings of work, and he is rolling on the mound right now. 3 1/3, his previous game high, 4 innings pitched. Right now, 3 innings, still has not given up a hit in this one. Meanwhile, Chase Cunningham back on the mound, gave up a run in the bottom half of the second inning, gave the Florence Freedom this 3-0 lead. It's the only run that's earned to Cunningham so far, as the first 2 runs came in via an error by the shortstop Austin Wolbrock. Last inning for the Florence Freedom, Daniel Fraga popped out to start things, then Travis Weaver singled. Andre Mercurio would ground out, Weaver would move up to second, and Taylor Oldham came through with a single. Runners were at first and third with 2 men out before Andrew Godbold came through with the RBI single. Travis Weaver scored, and the Freedom took a 3-0 lead. Next batter, Austin Newell, would fly out to end the inning. Due up here in the third, Collins Cuthrell, Josh Henderson, and Garrett Vale, 5, 6, and 7, facing off against Chase Cunningham. Wild Things, this is game 2 of a 9-game, 10-game road trip that'll see him go to Florence, Evansville, and River City. And while the Wild Things are out of town, if you're looking for something to do, August 5th and 6th, you can head down to Waynesburg University. They're putting on the production of The Curious Savage. It's their summer show. It's the story of a wealthy widow who wants to use her wealth to do good, while her grown stepchildren want it for themselves. They have her put up in a sanitarium, and while at that sanitarium, Miss Savage, the wealthy widow, meets several residents who are dealing with their own emotional scars, and through their interactions, Miss Savage gives the residents new hope, and they give her a new appreciation for the human spirit. The play August 5th and 6th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $5. Go down to Waynesburg University and go to the Goodwin Performing Arts Center to check out The Curious Savage. Making his way to the plate to lead things off here in the bottom of the third is the third baseman, Collins Cuthrell. Cuthrell on the day so far, 0 for 1, reached on an error and stole a base so far in this game. Cuthrell did not play in game 1. The pitch from Cunningham, and that one's low and outside for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball and no strikes here on Cuthrell. 1-0 the count, nobody out, bottom of the third, 3-0 the Florence Freedom lead. Cunningham has his sign, the 1-0, and Cuthrell takes this one outside as well. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count. Here on the Florence Freedom, third baseman Mason Salazar played third in game 1, and Salazar ended up going 2 for 4. Pitch, and Cuthrell hits this one to left center field. Grayson going back to the track, nearing the wall. He leaps, and that ball is gone. A solo home run for Collins Cuthrell, and the Florence Freedom extend their lead. They now lead 4-0 over your Washington Wild Things. A solo shot for Collins Cuthrell. Chris Grayson giving it all he could, running all the way back to the wall and leaping, but could not make that catch for Cuthrell. It is his 9th home run of the year, and the Freedom take a 4-0 lead. That'll bring to the plate the left fielder Josh Henderson. Henderson, no official at-bat to this point, walked his first time and stole second base. Henderson was a DH in game 1 and ended up going 2 for 3, single, double, and a walk. This first pitch, and that one's taken low for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Josh Henderson. 4-0 the Florence Freedom lead, the 1-0, and that one's inside for ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes the count to the Florence Freedom left fielder. Played DH in game 1 of this series. Cunningham's 2-0, and Henderson takes this one for a strike on the outside corner. 2 balls and a strike. So 4 runs given up by Chase Cunningham through the first 2+ innings of work. 2 of those runs earned. Here's the 2-1. And this one lined into center field. Chris Grayson coming on. He slides, and he's not going to get it. And it keeps it in front of him. He's going to get to it quickly. His throw to second, and almost got Josh Henderson, but Henderson in there with a double. So back-to-back hits to start this bottom of the third. A solo shot for Collins Cuthrell and a double for Josh Henderson. Now there's a runner at second with nobody out, and that'll bring to the plate the catcher, Garrett Vale. Vale so far in the day, 0 for 1 with a flyout. Isaac Wenrick caught game 1 of the series, and Wenrick ended up going 0 for 3, 3 ground outs and a walk. Cunningham has his sign. He set check second the pitch, and that one's high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Garrett Vale, and that'll start action in the Washington Wild Things bullpen. Brian O'Keefe, the one warming up out there. Kyle Pollock will go in to talk to Chase Cunningham, try to calm him down a little bit here in this third inning. Nobody out. Josh Henderson, the runner at second. Back-to-back hits against Cunningham started this inning. A solo home run by Collins Cuthrell and a double by Josh Henderson have put the Florence Freedom out 4-0 over your Wild Things. Cunningham has his sign, check second, the 1-0. And that one's in there for a strike at the knees. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Garrett Vale. Nobody out, bottom of the third. Josh Henderson taking his lead from second base. Cunningham looks in, has his sign, checks second, and the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And this ball hit foul off to the right. This one's hooking towards the stands and will land in the stands foul, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out. Cunningham trying to get the first out here in this bottom of the third inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cunningham, those strikeouts to this point, has walked, 1 man in the game. Cunningham has his sign, check second, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And this one grounded softly to the left side and foul over by the Wild Things dugout, and the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Garrett Vale. Nobody out, bottom of the third. Florence Freedom lead 4-0 over your Washington Wild Things here on the MSA Sports Network. Chase Cunningham looks in. Cunningham has his sign. He's set, checks second, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And Vale lines this one to the right field, and that is a base hit. Henderson's going to be waved to the plate. Here's Popkins' throw. Henderson now will put on the brakes. As a good throw there by Popkins, holding Henderson at third. It's the third straight hit to start this inning, and now there are runners at first and third with nobody out, and that brings up the second baseman, Daniel Fraga. Fraga so far on the day, 0 for 1. And in yesterday's game, Fraga ended up going 1 for 3. Fielder's choice, single score, and a strikeout on the day. So Fraga coming to the plate. Now manager Greg Langben coming out of the Wild Things dugout, making his way to the mound. And now we are going to have a pitching change here for your Washington Wild Things. So Chase Cunningham, not a very good outing today. He goes 2+, giving up 4 runs in the contest. Brian O'Keefe will come in and be the new pitcher for your Washington Wild Things. So Cunningham's night is done. The final line on Cunningham went 2+ innings of work in this one. Has so far given up 4 runs, 2 earned, still responsible for both men on base. Has given up 7 hits in this contest, walked 1, and did not strike out a batter. So not a very good outing there for Chase Cunningham. And now that brings on the long reliever for your Wild Things, Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe, the lefty. O'Keefe entering this game with a record of 2-0 on the season. His ERA sitting at 3.46. He appearing in his 15th game, has made 2 starts on the year, has gone 26 innings, giving up 23 hits, 12 runs, 10 earned, 7 walks, and 24 strikeouts for the Wild Things. Left-hander will be charged with trying to keep men on base here. Nobody out. Runners are at first and third. 3 straight hits to start this bottom of the third inning against the starter Chase Cunningham. A solo home run by Collins Cuthrell. It was Cuthrell's 9th home run of the season. Then Josh Henderson with double and Garrett Vale singled. A strong throw by Dave Popkins, keeping Henderson over there at third base. Brian O'Keefe, his last time out, was actually a start against Southern Illinois. Started Game 3 of that 3-game series back on July the 24th at Southern Illinois. Only went 4 2/3 in that one. Gave up 6 runs, 5 earned on 7 hits, walked 2, and struck out 4. Was actually rolling along in that game. And in the 5th inning, he kind of hit a roadblock as he gave up all 5 runs in that 5th inning. And that led to an eventual loss. Wild Things were leading 10-1 in that game and lost by the score of 12-10. So Brian O'Keefe making his 15th appearance out of the year, his 13th out of the bullpen. The first man he'll be tasked with facing here in this bottom of the third is Daniel Fraga, as we said. Fraga is 0 for 1, hitting in the number 8 spot in the lineup for the Florence Freedom. Brian O'Keefe concluding his warm-up tosses. Again, Chase Cunningham can only go 2+ in this one. Has given up 4 runs, 2 earned to this point on 7 hits, walking 1 and striking out nobody in the game so far. Daniel Fraga making his way to the plate, 0 for 1 to this point against the new pitcher, Brian O'Keefe. Fraga in yesterday's game went 1 for 3, single, strikeout, and a fielder's choice in the ball game. So Brian O'Keefe coming into this ball game Josh Henderson, the runner at third, and Garrett Vale, the runner at first. Brian O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the pitch. Fraga showing bunt, pops this one up. Brian O'Keefe coming in and making a running catch. A great play there by Brian O'Keefe, athletic off the mound. Thought he was going to go into a dive, but he didn't have to as he makes the running catch, and that is out number one here in the bottom of the third. Nice running catch there by Brian O'Keefe. And that brings to the plate the shortstop, Travis Weaver. Weaver so far on the day, 1 for 1, singled and scored a run back in the second. And in yesterday's ball game, Weaver would end up going 1 for 4, singled, hit into a fielder's choice, struck out, and hit into another fielder's choice on the day. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the pitch on the way to Weaver. And this ball popped up, foul off to the right. He'll get back into the seats, and the count goes to no balls and a strike here on the Freedom shortstop. Number 9 hitter in the order. Runners are at first and third with one man out. Josh Henderson standing at third, and Garrett Vale standing at first. Henderson doubled and Vale singled in this ball game. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set. Here's the 0-1, and that one swung on and missed by Weaver, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on Travis Weaver. For Brian O'Keefe, he'll get his strikeouts, 24 strikeouts in 26 innings of work. So he's done a very good job in the strikeouts to innings pitched ratio. O'Keefe has his sign, the 0-2 pitch. And that one's in the dirt, blocked by Kyle Pollock, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Travis Weaver. Brian O'Keefe, second pitcher on the day, used by the Washington Wild Things. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And a swing and a miss. Brian O'Keefe strikes him out, and that is the second out here in the bottom of the third. O'Keefe coming in and leaving those runners right where they are at second and third to this point, and that'll bring up the leadoff man, Andre Mercurio. Mercurio so far on the day is 0 for 1, hit by a pitch in the first, and grounded out in inning number 2. Bottom of the third, 4-0, the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Chase Cunningham started this game, gave up 4 runs, and only 2 of those earned in the contest. Brian O'Keefe, the reliever on now. Lefty on lefty matchup. Brian O'Keefe looking in. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the pitch on the way to Mercurio. And that one's in there for a strike at the knees. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the leadoff man. Brian O'Keefe, one of 2 long relievers out there in the bullpen for the Wild Things, O'Keefe and Sam Agnew-Wieland. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the 0-1. And that one's in there for a strike. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count with 2 men out, bottom of the third. O'Keefe trying to keep those runners right where they are at second and third. Andre Mercurio stepping back in here against O'Keefe. O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, he's set, checks first, and the no ball, 2 strike pitch. Taking off for second is Vale. This one grounded towards short. Wobrock will handle it, throw on to first, and it's in time for out number 3. However, the Florence Freedom do get another run in the inning on 3 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. After 3 innings of play, the score, the Florence Freedom 4, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. So Chase Cunningham, not a very good start for the 3rd start in a row. His final line officially only goes 2 innings plus, giving up 4 runs, 2 earned on 7 hits, 1 walk, and no strikeouts on the day for Cunningham. Meanwhile, his opposition, Tony Vaca, has been very good on the day, has not allowed a hit through 3 innings of work. His only base runner is a walk to Dave Popkins to start the 2nd inning, and Popkins was actually thrown out, caught stealing to end that inning. So Vaca's faced the minimum through 3 innings to this point, and for not only making 1 start on the year so far, he's done a very nice job here in this one. The longest he's ever gone in a game is 3 1/3 innings. So he'll be looking to best that here today. That 3 1/3 was the last time out for Tony Vaca. As we said, in his last start, it was on July the 6th, went 3 innings in that one against Southern Illinois, gave up 1 run. It was earned on 4 hits, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts on the day for Vaca. So Vaca in here now. Last inning for the Washington Wild Things, Jimmy Yezzo flew out to start things. Then Grant Fink grounded out, and Austin Wobrock would ground out to end the inning. Due up here in the top of the 4th, Jamadric Magruder, Chris Grayson, and Ricky Rodriguez, 1, 2, and 3 men against the righty Tony Vaca as your Wild Things look to get their first hit here in this ball game. The Wild Things had a stretch back last week where they hadn't got their first hit in back-to-back games until after the 5th inning, hoping to get their first hit here in the 4th today against the Florence Freedom. Tony Vaca done with his warm-up tosses, and that'll bring to the plate the second baseman, Jamadric Magruder. Magruder so far in the day 0 for 1, and Magruder in earlier's game went 1 for 4 with a single, strikeout, and 2 groundouts on the day. Nobody out here in the top of the fourth. 4-0, the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Magruder at the plate. Tony Vaca looking in to his catcher, Garrett Vale. Vaca has his sign. He's set. Now time is called again as they're waiting for the in-game festivities to get off the field. It's video game night here in Florence, Kentucky. A lot of video game characters throughout the ballpark. Vaca has his sign, the pitch. Magruder showing bunt and takes this one inside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Jamadric Magruder. Wild Things trying to get to Tony Vaca here in this 4th inning. Vaca looks in, has his sign, the 1-0. And this one grounded to third. Handled over there by Cuthrell. Throw to first, bounces, but handled by Taylor Oldham at first. Nice pick by Oldham over there. 5-3 on the putout, and that's out number 1 here in the top of the 4th. That'll bring up the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far 0 for 1, popped out to center field his last time up in the 1st. Top of the 4th, 1 man out. 4-0, the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things with Grayson coming to the plate. Grayson in yesterday's game went 0 for 5, flew out 3 times, struck out and grounded out in the ball game. Broke a 3-game hitting streak for Grayson. Vaca has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's in there for a strike on the inside corner. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Tony Vaca rolling through 3 1/3. Has his sign, the 0-1. And this ball hit to center field. Andre Mercurio running over, and he leaps, and he can't make the catch. It's off the wall. Grayson around first, heading to second, and he will stop there as a strong throw in by Andre Mercurio keeps him there. It's the first hit of the day for your Washington Wild Things. A double for Chris Grayson. There's a runner at second, 1 man out, and Ricky Rodriguez coming to the plate. Andre Mercurio doing all he could to try to make that catch. Dove, but just couldn't get his glove high enough to make the catch. So Chris Grayson will be on second with 1 man out, and that'll bring to the plate the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez in this one so far 0 for 1 with a strikeout on the day. Rodriguez in yesterday's ball game ended up going 2 for 3, 2 singles, a fielder's choice, an RBI, a walk, and a hit by pitch. Mercurio showing off the speed over there in left center field. Dove, but just couldn't get to the ball, and Grayson on second. Vaca has his sign. He's set. Checks second and the pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Rodriguez, and the count goes to no balls and 1 strike. That's the first hit on the day for the Wild Things. 4 runs, 7 hits, and no errors for the Freedom. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error for your Wild Things. Vaca looks in, has his sign, checks second, and the 0-1 offering to Rodriguez. And a swing and a miss there by Rodriguez, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on the Wild Things third baseman. 1 man out in the top of the 4th. 4-0 Florence leads here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Tony Vaca looks in, has his sign, checks second, and the no-ball 2-strike pitch. And that one's outside for a ball. Nice block behind the plate by Garrett Vale, and the count goes to 1-2. Ricky Rodriguez, 23 RBIs on the season, trying to drive in his 24th as Chris Grayson standing out there at second base. Tony Vaca looking into Garrett Vale. Vaca has his sign, he's set. Checks second, and the 1-ball 2-strike pitch. And Rodriguez hits this one to left field. Henderson going back to the track, and it dies on the track as Henderson will make the catch, and that's out number 2. Chris Grayson acted like he was going to tag up, but he ends up staying at second, so there's a runner at second, 2 men out, and that brings to the plate the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins so far, no official at-bat to this point, as he walked his first time in inning number 2. Popkins in game 1 of this series ended up going 2 for 5, 2 doubles, also into a double play, a flew out and struck out on the day. 2 outs and a runner at second. Tony Vaca looking in. Vaca has his sign, checks Grayson at second, and the pitch on the way. And Popkins takes this one high and outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Dave Popkins out there in right field for the Wild Things. One of 4 representatives on the All-Star team for the Wild Things right here in Florence, Kentucky. Vaca has his sign. He's set, the 1-0. And that one's outside for a ball, so the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count here on Dave Popkins. 2 men out in the top of the fourth. 4-0 the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Tony Vaca looking in. Vaca has his sign. He's set. Checks second. And the 2-ball no-strike pitch. Throw back to first. And Grayson is picked off at second base. Grayson picked off for out number 3, and that will end the inning. No runs in the inning for the Wild Things on just 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. After 3.5, the score, Florence Freedom 4, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Chris Grayson picked off at second base. A good move there by Tony Vaca, as Grayson had a pretty big lead over there at second base and just was unable to get back following that pickoff move. So Brian O'Keefe coming back out for his first full inning of work. Came in to relieve, actually he did get all 3 outs in the 3rd inning. So technically a full inning of work for him already in the ball game. So looking for his 2nd full inning of work. Chase Cunningham only goes 2+ innings in this ball game. Gave up 4 runs, 2 of those runs earned on 7 hits, a walk, and no strikeouts. Brian O'Keefe in to relieve him. Now O'Keefe, we were talking about last time out, was a start against Southern Illinois in which he gave up 6 runs, 5 of those earned in 4 2/3 innings of work against the Southern Illinois Miners. But other than that, has been very good out of the Wild Things bullpen. Those 5 earned runs and the most he's given up all year. His worst outing out of the bullpen came on May 29th at the Schaumburg Boomers, where he went 2 1/3, gave up 2 runs, both earned on 3 hits, in an 11-3 loss for the Wild Things. So O'Keefe has been very reliable out of the pen for your Wild Things. Last inning for the Florence Freedom. Collins Cuthrell led off the inning with his 9th home run of the year, a solo shot over the left field wall, and that gave the Freedom a 4-0 lead. Next batter, Josh Henderson would double. Then Garrett Vale singled. There were runners at first and third with nobody out, and that would be it for Chase Cunningham. Brian O'Keefe would then come in, got Daniel Fraga to pop up to the mound, then struck out Travis Weaver and got Andre Mercurio to ground out to end the inning. Due up here in the bottom of the 4th, Taylor Oldham, Andrew Godbold, and Austin Newell, 2, 3, and 4, facing off against Brian O'Keefe. Taylor Oldham making his way to the plate right now. Oldham so far 2 for 2 on the day. Singled and scored a run in the first and singled in inning number 2. Oldham in game 1 of this 3-game series ended up going, 1 for 3, fielder's choice double, hit by pitch, and a strikeout. Brian O'Keefe looking in. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's just outside for a ball, so O'Keefe falling behind the first batter here in the bottom of the 4th. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count, only playing 7 innings here in game 2 of this 3-game series. The 1-0, and that one's inside for ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. As if you play 2 games in a row, the second one's got to be 7 innings, so just playing 7 today. O'Keefe's 2-0, and that one's inside, so falls behind Taylor Oldham. 3 balls and no strikes. 3-0 the count, nobody out. O'Keefe looking in, has his sign, and the 3-0 pitch. And that one's inside, ball 4. 4-pitch walk to start the bottom of the 4th, and the leadoff man reaching base for the 3rd time in 4 innings for the Florence Freedom. That'll bring to the plate the right fielder, Andrew Godbold. Godbold so far on the day is 1 for 2, hitting to a fielder's choice and scored a run in the first, and then hit a RBI single in inning number 2. Stepping up here in the bottom of the 4th, 4-0, the Florence Freedom leads over your Washington Wild Things. Brian O'Keefe looking into Pollock. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the pitch on the way. And that one's in there for a strike to Godbold. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Brian O'Keefe on the mound, looking to give the Wild Things some innings in this one. A long reliever for your Washington Wild Things, facing off against Andrew Godbold. Brian O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, checks first base, and a throw over there. And getting back is Taylor Oldham. Oldham on the year currently has 16 stolen bases in 63 games played. So Oldham, a guy worth watching over there at the first base bag. O'Keefe has his sign, the 0-1, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Andrew Godbold. Nobody out, bottom of the 4th. Leadoff man reached on a 4-pitch walk by Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And this one swung on and missed by Godbold, and the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and nobody out. Bottom of the 4th, 4-0. Your Washington Wild Things are down to the Florence Freedom. Taylor Oldham, the runner at first. Brian O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, checks Oldham, and the 1-ball, 2-strike pitch. And this one popped foul off to the right. It'll get back into the seats, and the count remains 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, nobody out. Brian O'Keefe on the mound. O'Keefe, the long reliever for the Washington Wild Things. Brian O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the 1-2. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count here on Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe, the left-hander, one of 2 lefties out of the bullpen for the Washington Wild Things. O'Keefe and Devin Davis, the 2 southpaws out there. O'Keefe checks first, the 2-2, and this ball hit deep to right field. Dave Popkins going back to the track, and this one just hooks foul. Andrew Godbold that close to his 10th home run of the year, just a couple of feet from that right field foul pole. It's a long foul ball, and he'll have to do it again. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Second ball we've seen hit by the Florence Freedom deep out that way that ended up hooking foul. The only home run in the game so far is the solo shot by Collins Cuthrell. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Brian O'Keefe looking in. Taylor Oldham takes his lead from first. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the 2-ball, 2-strike pitch. And this ball fouled off back to the screen, so Godbold staying alive here with nobody out in the bottom of the 4th against Brian O'Keefe. 2-2 the count. Runner at first is Taylor Oldham. 4-0 the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the 2-ball, 2-strike pitch. And this ball hit the right field, not as deep. Dave Popkins on the run, and he's not going to get to this one. It bounces in fair territory and over the right field wall in foul territory, so it'll be a ground roll double for Andrew Godbold. Runners will be at second and third with nobody out, and that brings to the plate the designated hitter Austin Newell. Newell so far in the day, 0 for 2, hitting a 1-2-3 double play in the first, and flew out in inning number 2. Nobody out, runners at second and third. Kyle Pollock now going out to talk to Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe normally very reliable out of the bullpen for your Washington Wild Things, but so far struggling here in his outing today in relief of Chase Cunningham. Austin Newell at the designated hitter at the plate. Last game, the designated hitter was Josh Henderson, and Sean Cooper was out in left field. This time, Josh Henderson takes the left field duties, and Austin Newell is in there as the designated hitter. Brian O'Keefe looks into Kyle Pollock. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way to Newell. And that one's in there on the inside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. First 2 men in the bottom of the 4th here reaching off of Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe trying to strand them there at second and third with nobody out. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the no ball, 1-strike pitch. And this ball lined on the left field line. It hooks and goes foul into the grass area, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 4th. 4-0 the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Brian O'Keefe, the lefty, facing off against the left-handed batter, Austin Newell. The runner at third, Taylor Oldham, and the runner at second is Andrew Godbold. Brian O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the no-ball, 2-strike pitch. And this ball lined foul off to the left, and this one hooking, and that will also go foul. Almost a nice diving catch by a kid out there in the kid zone over here in UC Health Stadium. Just couldn't get that ball. No balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out here on Austin Newell. Brian O'Keefe looking for the strikeout. Be his second strikeout of the game if he can get it. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set. Now time is called behind the plate as Kyle Pollock wants to go through the signs once more. No balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. O'Keefe looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 0-2 pitch. And this one fouled off, so the count will remain no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Austin Newell. Newell, DH for the Florence Freedom. As it hits off the netting. And the number 4 hitter for the Florence Freedom at the plate. Runners at second and third, nobody out, bottom of the 4th. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the 0-2 pitch. And a swing and a miss. O'Keefe strikes him out, and that is the first out here in the bottom of the 4th. Runners still at second and third. Second strikeout on the day for Brian O'Keefe, and that'll bring to the plate the third baseman, Collins Cuthrell. Cuthrell so far on the day is 1 for 2, reached on an error in his first at-bat, and hit a solo home run in inning number 3 that gave the Freedom this 4-0 lead. 4-0 the Freedom lead. 1 out, bottom of the 4th. Brian O'Keefe looking in. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set. Now time is called behind the plate, as wanting to reset things is Colin Cuthrell. 1 man out, bottom of the 4th. Here on a Saturday evening, game 2 of this 3-game series. O'Keefe has his sign. Now time is called once again by Kyle Pollock. So 2 straight time called behind the plate. Brian O'Keefe looks in, has his sign. He's set, checks Oldham at third, and the pitch. And that one's outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Want to know the count here on Collins Cuthrell. Cuthrell, the number 5 hitter. And Pollock once again wants to go out and talk to Brian O'Keefe. So Brian O'Keefe struggling coming out of the bullpen, as well as Chase Cunningham struggled to start this ball game. So hopefully O'Keefe can settle down and give the Wild Things some innings here in the 4th. 1 ball, no strikes. 1 man out, bottom of the 4th. Collins Cuthrell at the plate. Cuthrell again listed as an outfielder, but can also play the infield. O'Keefe has his sign and the 1-0 pitch. This one swung on and missed, and the count goes even to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 here on the number 5 hitter. Brian O'Keefe trying to fight back and keep those runners right where they are. Came in the 3rd inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd, and with runners at 2nd and 1st and 3rd, and kept them right there. See if we can do it again here in the 4th. The 1-1, check swing, and did he go around? No, says Brian Miller out on the base paths, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count here on Collins Cuthrell. Cuthrell, the number 5 hitter in the order, standing in at 6'1", 205 from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, a returner to this Florence Freedom team. Brian O'Keefe looks into Kyle Pollock, has his sign, he's set, and the 2 ball, 1 strike pitch. And that one's inside for a ball and low, so the count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count, and this inning has been a struggle for Brian O'Keefe. Walked the leadoff man, then gave up a double, and struck out Austin Newell, and right now down 3-1 to Collins Cuthrell with 1 man out in the bottom of the 4th. Brian O'Keefe looks in. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the 3 ball, 1 strike pitch. And that one's just high for ball 4, so the second walk of the inning for Brian O'Keefe, and just like that, the bases are full of Freedom here in the bottom of the 4th with 1 man out, and that'll bring to the plate the left fielder Josh Henderson. Henderson so far in the day is 1 for 1, walked his first time up, and then doubled in inning number 3. 1 man out here in the bottom of the 4th. 4-0 the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Brian O'Keefe would love a ground ball here if he could get it. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. Henderson takes this one for a strike at the knees, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Florence Freedom. The left fielder, Henderson, was the DH in game 1 of this series, but played left field most of the time at Consol Energy Park. O'Keefe has his sign. Here's the 0-1 offering. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Josh Henderson. Fifth man to the plate here against Brian O'Keefe in the 4th inning of this one. O'Keefe looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And Henderson, a foul ball off his foot as he's wincing around in pain a little bit, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, the count hit off the ankle area of Josh Henderson. Looks to be walking it off, and we'll get back into the batter's box here with a 1 ball, 2 strike count, and 1 out in the bottom of the 4th. Remember, only playing 7 innings here in this game 2 of the 3-game series because we've played 2 games already today. Brian O'Keefe looking in, the lefty-on-lefty matchup. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And this ball popped up. Right field, Dave Popkins going to camp under it. He makes the catch, tagging his Oldham. Here's Popkins' throw to the plate. It's a strong one, but it's not going to be in time. Throw to second, and they're going to get Collins Cuthrell tagging up there. That is out number 3, but the run does count, so it's a sacrifice fly for Josh Henderson, RBI. The Florence Freedom now lead this game by a score of 5-0, but Collins Cuthrell thrown out at second, and that ends the inning. So in total in the inning, the Florence Freedom get another run on just 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 4 innings of play, the score, Florence Freedom 5, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Now Tony Vaca coming back out for his 5th inning of work. This is officially the longest that Tony Vaca has gone in a game this season, 3 1/3 was his previous high, and that was his last time out on the mound. So he's thrown 4 innings so far tonight, giving up just the 1 hit, the double by Chris Grayson. And he has struck out 3 batters through those 4 innings of work. So he's been very good on the mound so far for the Florence Freedom. Looks to continue that success here in the top of the 5th against your Washington Wild Things. Wild Things in the last inning. Jamadrick Magruder grounded out to start things. Then Chris Grayson would double, and Ricky Rodriguez flew out. Grayson was thrown out, caught stealing at second base for the final out of the inning. Due up here in the 5th, Dave Popkins, Logan Uxa, and Kyle Pollock, 4, 5, and 6, facing off against Tony Vaca. Vaca making his 2nd start of the year. First start came back on July 6th for Vaca in his career with the Florence Freedom. He is currently in his 2nd year for the Freedom. Last year went 3-4 with a 2.55 ERA in 30 games. Made 7 starts in that one through 70 1/3 combined innings pitched that year. Also played in spring ball for the Prescott Montezuma Federals in 2013. Went 1-1 with a 6.64 ERA there, 11 games and 1 start. And currently this year for the Freedom is 0-1 with a 4.54 ERA. Dave Popkins stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the 5th with your Wild Things down by the score of 5-0. Tony Vaca looking in. Vaca has his sign, the pitch, and that one is outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. That one hitting at 76 miles an hour. Vaca falling behind Dave Popkins. 1-0. Vaca set the 1-0, and this one hit the left field and shallow. Josh Henderson going back on it now, and he'll make the catch for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down here for your Wild Things in the top of the 5th, and that'll bring up the first baseman, Logan Uxa. Uxa so far on the day is 0 for 1 with a strikeout to this point. Uxa, the star of the game in Game 1 of the 3-game series, as he drove in 4 of the team's 7 runs in total. In that game, went 2 for 3, a home run, a 2 RBI single, a strikeout, and a sac fly on the day. Vaca set, here's the pitch, and Uxa takes this one for a strike on the outside corner, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things first baseman. Vaca has his sign, the 0-1, and Uxa takes that one outside for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Logan Uxa. 1 man out. Vaca has his sign, the 1-1 pitch. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count here on Logan Uxa, batting from the left side against the righty Tony Vaca. Vaca has his sign. Here's the 2-1 pitch. And this one grounded up the middle. It'll be handled by Daniel Fraga. Throw to first, and that's in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things here in the 5th. And that brings up the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far 0 for 1 with a strikeout on the day. 2 men out here in the top of the 5th. 5-0, the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. The Freedom have a total of 8 hits on the day, and your Wild Things a total of 1 hit. 5 runs for the Freedom, no runs for your Wild Things. Vaca's pitch, and Pollock takes this one high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Wild Things catcher from UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky. Vaca's 1-0, and that one's a called strike at the knees. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on the Wild Things catcher. 2 men out in the top of the 5th. Vaca's 1 ball, 1 strike pitch, and that one's in there for a strike as well, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, 2 men out, top of the 5th. 5-0 Florence Freedom lead. Vaca looks into Garrett Vale, has his sign, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch before time is called. Time called by the home plate umpire, Andy Dodonis, so we'll have to do it again. Vaca looks in, has his sign, the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And that one's outside for a ball, and the count's 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 2 men out, top of the 5th. 5-0 Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Vaca set, here's the 2-2. And this one hit foul off to the right, back into the seats, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count here on Kyle Pollock, the primary catcher for the Washington Wild Things. Tony Vaca looking in. Vaca has his sign, here's the 2-2. And that one's outside for a ball, so the count goes full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count here on Kyle Pollock. On deck batter would be Jimmy Yezzo if Pollock reaches. Vaca has his sign, the 3-2, and this ball hit down the left field line. Josh Henderson giving chase. It's hooking, and it is a foul ball. Just hits foul over in left field. There's a very short foul territory as you get to the left field corner. And Pollock, unfortunately for the Wild Things, hitting it back there in that left field side. So Pollock will have to do it again. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 men out. Tony Vaca on the hill has gone 4 2/3 scoreless to this point against the Wild Things. Tony Vaca looks in to his catcher, Garrett Vale. Vaca has his sign. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And popped up by Pollock into left field. Josh Henderson coming in to make the play on it. He'll camp under it and make the catch, and that is out number 3. 1, 2, 3 go your Wild Things here in the 5th inning. And after 4.5 innings of play, the score, the Florence Freedom 5 and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Brian O'Keefe coming back out for his 3rd full inning of work in this ball game. Gave up 1 run in the 4th inning, 1 run charged to him so far. The other 4 runs charged to Chase Cunningham. Cunningham has given up 4 runs, 2 of which earned through his 2 innings of work in this ball game. Gave up 7 hits, 1 walk, and no strikeouts on the night. So Brian O'Keefe, the relief pitcher, into the game, going for his 3rd full inning of work here in this one. And O'Keefe so far has been very good out of the bullpen for your Wild Things, just giving up 1 run here in this contest, trying to calm himself down here in the bottom of the 5th. Last inning for the Florence Freedom. Taylor Oldham walked to start things, then Andrew Godbold would double. There'd be runners at 2nd and 3rd with nobody out. O'Keefe would get a big strikeout of Austin Newell, then Collins Cuthrow would walk, and Josh Henderson came up with the bases loaded, 1 man out, hit a sacrifice fly to right field. Dave Popkins' throw could not get the runner Taylor Oldham at the plate. However, the return throw from Kyle Pollock behind the plate got Collins Cuthrow trying to move up to 2nd on the play. So they got 1 run in the inning. The Freedom has scored at least 1 run in every inning. Scored 2 in the 1st, 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, and now they're up here in the 5th inning. Due up in this 5th inning, Garrett Vale, Daniel Fraga, and Travis Weaver, 7, 8, and 9, facing off against Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe finishing up his warm-up tosses, and Garrett Vale will make his way to the plate to lead things off here in the bottom half of the 5th. Vale so far on the day is 1 for 2, flew out in the 1st, and singled in inning number 3, facing off against Brian O'Keefe here in this 5th inning. Garrett Vale, the backup catcher for the Florence Freedom, as he's getting the start here in Game 2 of this 3-game series, as Garrett Vale started the earlier game today behind the plate, the resume of Game 1 yesterday. Brian O'Keefe looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch, and this ball, first pitch hit to center field. Chris Grayson going back on it a couple of steps, and he'll make the catch, and that is out number 1. So quickly 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here, for the Freedom here in the bottom of the 5th. And that'll bring to the plate the second baseman, Daniel Fraga. Fraga so far is 0 for 2, popped out to the catcher, and then popped out to the pitcher so far in this game. So his at-bats have not been too kind to him so far on the day, as Brian O'Keefe will look to keep that trend going. O'Keefe has his sign, the pitch, and that one's in there for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the second baseman, Daniel Fraga. 1 out, bottom of the 5th, 5-0, the Florence Freedom lead. Here's the 0-1, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Brian O'Keefe, pitched for the University of Bridgeport a season ago. O'Keefe's 1-1, and this one's fouled off to the left, and the count will go to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count, 1 man out. Daniel Fraga at the plate, facing off against Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe in his 3rd full inning of work. O'Keefe's 1-2 pitch, and this one line foul off to the left, so a couple of foul balls here by Daniel Fraga. Keep him alive here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. 5-0 the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Brian O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, the 1-2 pitch. And this one bounced off the plate, slow roll to short. Waldrock bare hands, and he's not going to make a throw to first, as it's an infield single for Daniel Fraga. A 1-out hit, has a man on base for the Freedom, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Travis Weaver. Weaver so far in the day, 1 for 2, singled and scored a run in the 2nd, and struck out in inning number 3. 1 man out here in the bottom of the 5th. 5-0 the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. The runner at first is Daniel Fraga, and now Weaver to the plate. Weaver scored one of the team's 5 runs in the bottom half of the 2nd inning, came around on the RBI single by Godbold. Brian O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, checks first, and the pitch on the way. That one swung and a miss by Travis Weaver, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count, one man out, bottom of the fifth. Travis Weaver at the plate. Brian O'Keefe looking in. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the no ball, one strike pitch. And that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Travis Weaver, the number 9 hitter in the order for the Florence Freedom. Runner at first is Daniel Fraga. Brian O'Keefe, the left-hander on the mound. Lefty on righty matchup. Time called once again for Travis Weaver. And someone's barking from the Wild Things dugout as Andy Donis looks over there, takes his mask off, says a few words, and now has gone back to his post behind the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 man out. Brian O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the 1-1 pitch. And Weaver ground ball to the left side, and that'll go foul, so the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on the right-handed hitting Travis Weaver. 1 man out in the bottom of the fifth. 5-0 Florence Freedom lead. Only 1 hit on the day for the Wild Things so far. That hit coming by Chris Grayson. Brian O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, he's set, checks first, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And a swing and a miss and a pitch in the dirt, and Weaver strikes out. That is out number 2 for Brian O'Keefe, his 3rd strikeout of the game, and that'll break the center fielder, Andre Mercurio. Mercurio so far 0 for 2, was hit by a pitch in the first, grounded out in the second, and grounded out in inning number 3. 2 men out here in the bottom of the fifth. Brian O'Keefe trying to get through this 5th inning of work, came in relief for Chase Cunningham. Cunningham could only go 2+ in this ball game. O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, he's set, checks first, and the pitch on the way. And Mercurio takes this one for a strike, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the leadoff man for the Florence Freedom, Mercurio. Mercurio standing in at 5'9", 175. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, checks first, and the 0-1 pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Mercurio, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. And here in this 5th inning, looks like O'Keefe might have found his groove on the mound. 0-2, 2 men out, trying to hold the Florence Freedom scoreless in an inning for the first time in this ball game. Brian O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, he's set, checks first, and the no ball, 2 strike pitch. Taking off for second, and a swing and a miss. O'Keefe strikes him out, and the inning is over. No runs in the inning for the Freedom on just 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 5 innings of play, the score, the Florence Freedom 5, and your Washington Wild Things nothing. Brian O'Keefe, getting through his 3rd inning of relief there, has given up just 1 run on the day and has struck out 4 batters through 3 innings of work. So he comes off the mound, and back on the mound is Tony Vaca, and Vaca has been very good so far. 5 innings of work to this point, has not given up a run on just 1 hit, has walked 1 man, and has struck out 3 on the day. And it's more more than the Florence Freedom could ask for in this one. Tony Vaca coming out and giving them a good start, a spot start for Tony Vaca in this one. Game 3 of this 3-game series can be heard tomorrow night, 6:05 first pitch here on the MSA Sports Network. Matt Frauden taking the hill for your Washington Wild Things. Will be pitching against Jordan Krause for the Florence Freedom. Krause coming off being named the Week 10 player of the, or Week 11 pitcher of the week. So it'll be Jordan Krause and Matt Frauden in tomorrow night's game. Tony Vaca going through his warm-up tosses. Last inning for the Wild Things, Dave Popkins flew out to start things. Then Logan Uxa grounded out, and Kyle Pollock flew out to end the inning. Due up here in the 4th, Jimmy Yezzo, Grant Fink, and Austin Wobrock, 7, 8, and 9, facing off against Tony Vaca. Jimmy Yezzo will make his way to the plate here in this one. Yezzo so far 0 for 1 with a flyout in last night's game. Yezzo went 2 for 4, flew out in the 2nd, popped out in the 4th, singled in the 6th, and singled in inning number 8. Number 7 hitter in the order, Jimmy Yezzo at the plate, facing off against Tony Vaca. Vaca looking in, has his sign, he's set, here's the pitch. And Yezzo takes this one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Jimmy Yezzo from UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky. Vaca's 1-0, and that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count here on Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo, here's the pitch, And Yezo pops this one up foul off to the left. Giving chase on it is Q-Throw, and he's going to run out of room over there in foul territory. And the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count on Yezo. Oxa getting another start at first base here in this game. Yezo back at the DH role, and they've been really doing that interchangeably as of late. As if Oxa's at first base, Yezo's the DH, and if Yezo's at first base, Oxa's the DH. Here's the 2-1, and that one's in there for a strike. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. Nobody out here in the top of the 6th. The Wild Things trying to add on. Vaca has his sign, the 2-2 pitch. And that one's outside for a ball, so the count goes full 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. The on-deck man, Grant Fink, following Jimmy Yezo. Vaca has his sign, the 3-2 pitch. And Yezo hits this one to center field. Andre Mercurio now drifting over into right center will make the catch. And that is out number 1. Almost a collision out there in right center field. As Andrew Godbold was running over, didn't hear Mercurio calling it. But luckily for the Florence Freedom, Godbold gets out of the way. And Mercurio making the catch for out number 1. That'll bring to the plate the left fielder, Grant Fink. Fink so far 0 for 1, grounded out in the 3rd in this ball game. Did not play in game 1 of this 3-game series. Tony Vaca waiting for his man Andrew Godbold to get set out in right field. The sun becoming a problem for Andrew Godbold out there as sun sets over the left side of the stadium. The pitch, and Fink hits this one to center field. Mercurio back to the track, to the wall, and it's off the wall. Grant Fink around first, heading to second. He's thinking 3. Here comes the throw, and Grant Fink in there with a 1-out triple. The Wild Things have a runner at third with 1 man out there. First runner at third on the day. A triple for Grant Fink, and that'll bring to the plate the shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock so far 0 for 1. Singled in last night's ball game, 1 for 4. The single, the only hit. Also struck out and grounded out twice in the contest. The first time the Wild Things have had a runner at third. It's a triple for Grant Fink, and Austin Wobrock stepping in. Tony Vaca looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And Wobrock takes this one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the number 9 hitter in the Wild Things order, trying to get the first run of the ball game in for your Wild Things. Vaca has his sign and the 1-0. This one grounded to the right side. Handled by Oldham. He'll take it to the bag himself for out number 2. On Grant Fink comes around to score the first run of the ball game for your Wild Things. An RBI ground out for Austin Wobrock. Wobrock's 14th RBI of the year. It's now 5-1 Florence over your Washington Wild Things. 2 men out here in the top of the 6th. And that brings to the plate the second baseman, Jamadrick Magruder. Magruder so far in the day, 0 for 2, grounded out in the first and grounded out in inning number 4. 2 men out, top of the 6th. The run in the inning. Here's the pitch. And Magruder takes this one on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on Jamadrick Magruder. Here's the 0-1 from Vaca. And that one's small and missed as well, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Jamadrick Magruder. 2 men out, top of the 6th. The run in on the RBI ground out by Austin Wobrock. Vaca looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the no ball 2 strike pitch. And a swing and a miss. Magruder strikes out, and the inning is over. However, the Wild Things do get a run in the inning on just 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. After 5.5, the score, the Florence Freedom 5, and your Washington Wild Things 1. Brian O'Keefe coming back out for his 4th inning of work. As we said, the long relief man for the Washington Wild Things. And there's actually going to be a fielding change for the Washington Wild Things. A couple fielding changes in this one. As coming in to play shortstop, his first appearance with the Wild Things is Ryan Willard. Willard played for North Carolina State last season, so Ryan Willard into the game at shortstop, and also another new Wild Thing into the game as Steve Siklowski comes in behind the plate, both making their Washington Wild Things debuts. So Pollock is out, Steve Siklowski behind the plate, and Ryan Willard at shortstop to Austin Wobrock is out of the game. Other than that, the defensive alignment stays the same. So looking at the defensive changes for the Wild Things, here's how they line up. Outfield left to right, Grant Fink, Chris Grayson, and Dave Popkins. Left side of the infield, Ricky Rodriguez and Ryan Willard. Right side of the infield, Jamadrick Magruder and Logan Uxa. And it's Steve Siklowski behind the plate catching Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe in there for his fourth inning of work. Cunningham goes 2 innings to start the ball game, gives up 4 runs and 2 earned. And now O'Keefe so far through 3 has only given up 1 run and has struck out 4 on the day. Due up to face O'Keefe here in the 6th inning. Taylor Oldham, Andrew Godbold, and Austin Newell, 2, 3, and 4 facing off against O'Keefe. So once again, those changes. Ryan Willard out at shortstop for Austin Walbrock, and Steve Sokolowski behind the plate for the Washington Wild Things. Taylor Oldham batting from the right-handed side. Oldham so far on the day is 2 for 2, singled and scored a run in the first, singled in the second, and walked and scored a run in inning number 4. Brian O'Keefe looking in. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. And this one grounded to the left side. Diving try by Rodriguez, and it's a fair ball. Or foul ball, past Rodriguez, as it just was foul off the third base bag. And Taylor Oldham will step in, no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count here on Taylor Oldham. Thought Andy Dodonis threw someone out of the game as he made the ejection symbol, but the ball was just foul in the game. No balls, 1 strike. The pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. The count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike here on Taylor Oldham with nobody out in the bottom of the 6th. Freedom looking for some insurance. Here's the 1-1, and that one swung on a miss, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out here in the bottom half of the 6th. 5-1, the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Brian O'Keefe looks in. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set as Oldham digs back in, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And that one swung on and fouled away back to the screen. So the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here in the bottom of the 6th. Nobody out. Ryan Willard and Steve Sokolowski both making their Wild Things debuts here in this one. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set, the 1-2 pitch. And this ball popped up. On the infield, Jamadrick Magruder going out behind his second base position, and he will make the catch, and that is out number 1. Magruder doing a nice job of battling the sun there. 1 up, 1 down here in the bottom of the 6th, and that brings on the right fielder, Andrew Godbold. Godbold so far on the day is 2 for 3, hitting to a fielder's choice in the first, singled in the second, and doubled in inning number 4. 1 man out here in the bottom of the 6th. 5-1. Your Washington Wild Things are down to the Florence Freedom. 5 runs, 7 hits for the Freedom. 1 run, 2 hits and an error for your Wild Things. O'Keefe set. Here's the pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Godbold, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the right-handed hitting Godbold. Brian O'Keefe throwing from the left side. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set in the no ball, 1 strike pitch. And that one's outside for a ball. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Andrew Godbold. Was the team leader in home runs. Now Collins Cuthrell ties him up. Here's the pitch, and this one grounded to the left side, and that's a base hit. So Andrew Godbold, a 1-out single. He reaches base here for the Florence Freedom in the bottom of the 6th. And they have a runner on with 1 man out. That'll bring to the plate the designated hitter, Austin Newell. Newell so far in this one, 0 for 3. Hitting a 1-2-3 double play. Flew out and struck out in the ball game. So Brian O'Keefe, the left-handed pitcher, facing Austin Newell, the left-handed batter, looking for a ground ball here to hopefully end this bottom of the 6th inning. And then the Wild Things will try to come back in the top of the 7th. A 7-inning game here in Game 2 of this 3-game series because it's the second game we've played today. O'Keefe has his sign, the pitch, and Newell takes this one for a strike at the knees. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Florence Freedom designated hitter. 1 man out, bottom of the 6th. 5-1 the Freedom lead. O'Keefe has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the no ball, 1 strike pitch. And this one fouled off at the plate, and the count goes to 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Brian O'Keefe already has 4 strikeouts on the day through 3 1/3 innings of work in this ball game. Brian O'Keefe looking in, facing off against Austin Newell. Newell, the cleanup man for the Florence Freedom. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the no ball, 2 strike pitch. And that one's a called strike 3. Austin Newell strikes out, and that is the 2nd out of the inning. 5th strikeout of the day for Brian O'Keefe, and that brings up the third baseman, Collins Cuthrell. Cuthrell so far is 1 for 2 reached on an error his first time, hit a solo home run in the third, and walked in inning number 4. 2 men out, bottom of the 6th, 5-1. The Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Andrew Godbold, the runner at first. Brian O'Keefe looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one swung on and missed there by Cuthrell, and the count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count here on the Florence Freedom third baseman. Cuthrell, a utility man for the Florence Freedom, plays both the outfield and infield for the Freedom. O'Keefe set, here's the 0-1. And this one popped foul off to the right. It'll get back into the seats, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Collins Cuthrell, batting from the right side against the left-hander Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe looking in to his catcher Steve Sulkowski. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the no-ball 2-strike pitch. Taking off for second is Godbold, and this pitch is fouled away. The count will remain 0-2 here on Collins Cuthrell. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Brian O'Keefe on the hill, throwing from the left side. Facing off against Collins Cuthrell. Andrew Godbold took off for second base there with 2 outs and an 0-2 count. Godbold on the year does have 15 stolen bases in his 58 games. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the no-ball 2-strike pitch. And this ball ground to the left side and just foul past the third base bag. The count remains no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count, 2 men out, bottom of the 6th, 5-1. The Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Brian O'Keefe looking to go 4 innings here in this one. It's just given up 1 run to this point. Brian O'Keefe looking into Steve Sulkowski. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the 0-2 pitch. Taking off for second again is Godbold. Pitch outside, Sulkowski's throw, and Godbold in there with his 16th stolen base of the year. So they have a runner at second with 2 men out as they look to add some insurance runs here in the bottom of the 6th. 5-1 the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Collins Cuthrell hitting from the right side as O'Keefe trying to retire him. 1 ball, 2 strikes. O'Keefe has his sign, checks second, and the 1-2 pitch. And this one ground to the left side, past the diving Rodriguez and into left field, a base hit. Godbold will come around third, he'll score. The throw into second will hold Cuthrell with a single. It's an RBI single for Cuthrell, and now the Florence Freedom leads 6-1 over your Washington Wild Things. Andrew Godbold comes in to score. It is now 6-1. The Florence Freedom over your Washington Wild Things, and that brings to the plate the left fielder Josh Henderson. Henderson so far in the day is 1 for 1, walk, double, and a sac fly on the night for Henderson. The second run of the day allowed by Brian O'Keefe for Collins Cuthrell. That is his second RBI of the day. Pitch is high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes the count here on Henderson. So for Cuthrell, those are RBIs, number 35 and 36. O'Keefe looks at first, has his sign, and the 1-0 pitch. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count here in the bottom of the 6th. 2 men out. Brian O'Keefe trying to get through this 6th inning of work and get his team to the bat racks in the top of the 7th. The Freedom have scored a run in all but the 5th inning in this game. O'Keefe has his sign, the 2-0, and that one swung on a miss, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count here on Josh Henderson, the left fielder for the Florence Freedom. 2 men out in the bottom of the 6th. You're listening to the MSA Sports Network. We're here from UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky. Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. O'Keefe has his sign, checks first, and the 2-1. And that one swung on and missed, and the count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 with 2 men out here in the bottom of the 6th. 6 runs on 11 hits for the Freedom, 1 run, 2 hits, and 1 error for your Washington Wild Things. Brian O'Keefe looking in. O'Keefe to Steve Sulkowski. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the 2-2 pitch. And this ball fouled off, so the count will remain 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count here on Josh Henderson. Runner at first is Collins Cuthrell, driving an insurance run for the Florence Freedom here in this one. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Brian O'Keefe facing the left-handed batter, Josh Henderson. O'Keefe has his sign, he's set, and the 2-ball, 2-strike pitch. And this one, ground to the right side. Magruder has it. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 3. However, the Freedom get another run in the inning on 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 6 innings of play, the score, the Florence Freedom 6 and your Washington Wild Things 1. Wild Things coming to the bat racks here in the top of the 7th. They're going to need 5 to tie or 6 to take the lead here in the top of the 7th of this 7-inning game, and that will be the end of the day for Tony Vaca. Vaca very good on the mound so far on the night for Florence. He went 6 innings of work, gave up just 1 run. It was earned on a total of 2 hits. Only walked 1 and would strike out 4 on the night. So a very good start for Tony Vaca, making the spot start in this game. Now coming on to pitch for the Florence Freedom in this one will be Ethan Gibbons. Gibbons, the right-hander for the Florence Freedom. So Gibbons in for Tony Vaca here in the top of the 7th. And for Ethan Gibbons on the year to this point, Gibbons has a record of 2-2 with a 5.17 ERA, 8 saves on the season for Gibbons, appearing in his 30th game, has thrown 31 1/3 innings of work, giving up 31 hits, 20 runs, 18 earned, 10 walks, and 41 strikeouts on the year for Ethan Gibbons. Due up to face him here in the top of the 7th for your Wild Things. And the final inning of this ball game, Chris Grayson, Ricky Rodriguez, and Dave Popkins, 2, 3, and 4, facing off against Ethan Gibbons. So Tony Vaca, a very good start to start this ball game. 6 innings, giving up just 1 run and only 2 hits on the day. Wild Things offense not able to solve them. See if they can get to Ethan Gibbons here with nobody in the top of the 7th to try to tie this game or take the lead. If they don't, they'll pick up their 31st loss of the season. Last inning for the Wild Things, Jimmy Yezzo flew out, then Grant Fink tripled with 1 man out, and Austin Wobrock would deliver an RBI ground out that scored Fink and made the score 5-1 at that point. Then Jamadrick Magruder struck out to end the inning. So the Wild Things will test their luck with right-hander Ethan Gibbons, as again, he will face 1, 2, 3, Jamadrick Magruder, Chris Grayson, and Ricky Rodriguez to start off this inning. Actually, sorry, Chris Grayson, Rodriguez, and then Dave Popkins, 2, 3, and 4 to start off this top of the 7th inning. Chris Grayson making his way to the plate. Grayson so far in this one, 1 for 2, popped out in the first and doubled in inning number 4. Nobody out, top of the 7th, 6-1, the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things here in this ball game. Grayson bats from the left-hand side against the righty Ethan Gibbons. Grayson enters this game standing at 6 foot 215 from Monroe, Los Angeles. Gibbons has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's in there on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and a strike. Gibbons jumping ahead of the first batter he faces here in this top of the 7th inning. Gibbons has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1 pitch. And that one's on the outside corner as well. So Grayson falling behind the Gibbons here. No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count with nobody out, top of the 7th. Wild Things trying to come back in this game and avoid falling to 31-31. Gibbons has his sign and the 0-2 pitch. And this one lined up the middle. Watch out, Gibbons. That's a base hit for Grayson. Almost a scary moment came right back at the head of Tony Vaca. Hard, sharply hit there by Grayson. There's a runner on with nobody out. Gibbons is okay as it missed him, and he'll stay in the game. Third baseman Ricky Rodriguez coming to the plate. Rodriguez so far 0 for 2. Strikeout and a flyout in this ball game. Runner at first, nobody out. The Wild Things try to fight back. Down by 5 runs here in the top of the 7th. Gibbons has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And Rodriguez takes this one low for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Grayson, the runner at first. 8 steals on the year. Currently leads the Wild Things team. Gibbons, the right-hander, looking into Ricky Rodriguez. Has his sign. He's set. And the 1 ball, no strike pitch. And that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0, nobody out. Gibbons allows that leadoff single, and now behind the second man he's faced in this game, 2-0. Wild Things trying to string together a couple of hits and start a rally to come back in this 7th inning. Gibbons has his sign, the 2-0 pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Rodriguez, and the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Rodriguez going a little bit out of the zone for that one, but he'll stand back in. 2-1 the count. 2 balls and a strike. Nobody out. Runner at first is Chris Grayson. Gibbons has his sign. He's set. And the 2-ball, 1-strike pitch. And that one's swung and missed by Rodriguez. Big hack there, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count, nobody out. Top of the 7th, 6-1 the Florence Freedom lead over your Washington Wild Things. Rodriguez trying to keep a rally going here in the top of the 7th. Gibbons has his sign. He's set. The 2-ball, 2-strike pitch. And that one's in the dirt. Gets away from Garrett Vale, and Chris Grayson will move up on the Wild pitch. So now the Wild Things are runner at second with nobody out, and a 3-2 count here on Ricky Rodriguez. On deck batter is Dave Popkins after Ricky Rodriguez. Actually, they're going to give Rodriguez a stolen base on that one. So Grayson's 9th stolen base on the year to this point. Ethan Gibbons looks in. Gibbons has his sign. He's set. And the 3-ball, 2-strike pitch after a check to second. Here it comes. And that one's outside, ball 4. So a walk here to Ricky Rodriguez, and there are runners at first and second with nobody out here in the top of the 7th, and the right fielder Dave Popkins coming to the plate. Popkins so far in the day is 0 for 1, walked in the 2nd and flew out in inning number 5. First 2 men reaching here in the top of the 7th for the Washington Wild Things. Garrett Vale goes out to talk to Ethan Gibbons, trying to calm him down. Gibbons relieving the starter Tony Vaca. Vaca 6 innings in this one, gave up 1 run. It was earned on 2 hits. Walked one batter and struck out 4. Ethan Gibbons facing off against Dave Popkins. Gibbons looking in, has his sign, he's set, checks second base, and the pitch coming to Popkins. And that one swung and missed by Popkins. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things right fielder. Wild Things got to tie this game if they want the game to continue. Top of the 7th, nobody out. 6-1 the Florence Freedom lead. Playing it like a doubleheader here, only playing 7 in this game. Gibbons has his sign, the no-ball, 1-strike pitch. And that one's in the dirt outside, gets away from Vale. Grayson and Rodriguez will both move up. So now there's runners at second and third with nobody out as the Wild Things trying to start something here in this top of the 7th, down by 5. Now 2 men in scoring position for their right fielder Dave Popkins. And Popkins, the leader on this team in RBIs, has 34 on the season, looking to expand upon that here in this one. Gibbons 1-1, and Popkins into right field, and this one will fall for a base hit. Grayson will score. They'll hold Rodriguez at third, and it's now 5-2 or 6-2 Florence Freedom. Grayson coming in to score. Popkins' 35th RBI of the year. It's now 6-2 Florence Freedom, and runners at first and third, nobody out. Logan Uxa coming to the plate. Logan Uxa on the day so far, 0 for 2, a strikeout and a groundout, 6-2, the Florence Freedom lead. Wild Things get a run here in the top of the 7th as they look to tie this game or take the lead here against Gibbons. Gibbons has his sign, he's set, and the pitch to Uxa. That one's low for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Tying run on deck for the Wild Things here in the top of the 7th with nobody out, trying to start a rally. Ethan Gibbons looks in, has his sign, he's set, checks third, and the 1 ball, no strike pitch. Uxa pops this one up. Shallow left field. Out goes Travis Weaver. Weaver calling for it. He'll make the catch, and that's out number 1. So 1 away here in this top of the 7th. Pop up for Logan Uxa. Still a run came into the inning on the Popkins RBI single, and that brings to the plate the catcher Steve Solkoski. Solkoski, his first Wild Things at bat of the year in his Washington Wild Things debut. 1 man out, runner at first and third, Rodriguez at third, and Popkins, the runner at first. Looking in is Gibbons. Gibbons has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Solkoski takes this one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Steve Solkoski came in the bottom of the 6th as a defensive replacement for the Washington Wild Things. Looking in is Ethan Gibbons. Gibbons has his sign. He's set. And the 1 ball, no strike pitch. And Solkoski hits this one to right field. It's hooking down the line and will land foul. The count goes to 1 ball, 1 strike on the Wild Things catcher. Steve Solkoski coming to the Washington Wild Things from, the Ottawa champions of the Can-Am League, making his Washington Wild Things debut here tonight. Coming into the bottom of the 6th, Solkoski behind the plate. And Steve Solkoski for the Ottawa champions, as Gibbons set, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And this one's fouled off, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now Solkoski for Ottawa in 2016 ended up hitting 176 for the Ottawa champions before coming to the Washington Wild Things. Solkoski at the plate. Runner at third is Rodriguez. At first is Popkins. Here's the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And that one's low and in for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. Wild Things trying to battle back here in game 2 of this 3-game series against Ethan Gibbons. They have a run in already in the top of the 7th inning, looking to add more. Gibbons has his sign. He's set. And the 2 ball, 2 strike pitch. And Solkoski takes this one low for a ball. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count here on Steve Solkoski. Runners at first and third, 1 man out. Jimmy Yezzo, the on-deck batter, if Solkoski should reach. Ethan Gibbons looking in to Garrett Vale. Gibbons has his sign. The 3-2 pitch. And Solkoski pops this one up foul back into the stand, so he stays alive with the count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. Solkoski batting from the right side against the right-handed pitcher Ethan Gibbons. Righty on righty matchup. 3-2 the count. 1 man out. Runners are at first and third. Gibbons has his sign. He's set. The 3 ball, 2 strike pitch. And a foul ball by Solkoski. So again, staying alive here against Ethan Gibbons. 1 man out, top of the 7th. 6 runs, 11 hits for the Freedom. 2 runs, 4 hits, and an error for the Washington Wild Things. Ethan Gibbons looking in. Gibbons has his sign. He's set. And the 3 ball, 2 strike pitch. And Solkoski pops it up. Foul territory off to the right. Taylor Oldham camped under it, and he'll make the catch. That's out number 2. 2 away for the Washington Wild Things here in the top of the 7th, and that'll bring to the plate the designated hitter, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far in the day, 0 for 2. Flew out in the 3rd and flew out in inning number 6. Last chance for the Washington Wild Things, down 6-2 here to the Florence Freedom as they've tried to battle back in this ball game. Yezzo batting from the left side against the right-hander Gibbons. Rodriguez the runner at third, Popkins at first. Gibbons has his sign and the pitch. And Yezzo takes this one outside for a strike on the outside corner. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo, a native of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Gibbons has his sign. He's set. The no ball, 1 strike pitch. And that one swung on a miss, and the count goes to 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Wild Things down to their last strike here in this ball game, trying to get a 2-out rally going with 2 strikes now on Jimmy Yezzo. Ricky Rodriguez at third, Popkins at first. Gibbons has his sign. He's set. The no ball, 2 strike pitch. And called strike 3. Jimmy Yezzo strikes out, and this ball game is over. Final score, the Florence Freedom take this one from your Washington Wild Things, 6-2. Final line, 6 runs on 11 hits, no errors for the Freedom. 2 runs, 4 hits, and 1 error for your Washington Wild Things. The winning pitcher in this one, Tony Vaca, goes to 1-1. The loser, Chase Cunningham. Cunningham falls to 3-6 on the season. Washington Wild Things post-game show here for you. Wild Things drop this one 6-2 to the Florence Freedom here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Scoring recap for you. The Florence Freedom got started early on offense just as the Wild Things did in Game 1 of this 3-game series. Andre Mercurio was hit by a pitch to start the game. Then Taylor Oldham singled to their runners at first and second with nobody out. Then Andrew Godbold hit a ground ball to Logan Uxa at first. Uxa threw to second base, but Austin Wobrock apparently not on the second base bag. So that was not an out. The bases were loaded with nobody out. Then Cunningham looked like he was going to get out of it as he got a 1-2-3 double play. As a ground ball back to the mound, Cunningham threw to the plate for 1, threw to first for the second out of that inning. But then Collins Cuthrow, a routine ground ball to shortstop, bounced under the glove of Austin Wobrock. That allowed 2 runs to score. Oldham and Godbold would come in, and the Freedom took a 2-0 lead in the bottom of inning number 1 Then in the bottom of the second, the Florence Freedom jumping back on the board. Daniel Fraga popped out to start things off. Then Travis Weaver singled before Andre Mercurio grounded out. Weaver moved up to second. Taylor Oldham then singled. There were runners at first and third with 2 men out before Andrew Godbold came through with an RBI single. That scored Weaver and made the score 3-0 Freedom. Then Austin Newell flew out to end that inning. Freedom back on the board in the bottom of the third. Collins Cuthrell started off the inning with a solo home run. His 9th home run of the season tied him with Andrew Godbold for the team lead, and Florence took a 4-0 lead. Josh Henderson would then double. Garrett Vale would single, and that would be all for your starter, Chase Cunningham. Cunningham went 2 innings in the game, gave up 4 runs, 2 earned on 7 hits, walked 1, and did not strike out a batter in the ball game. Then Brian O'Keefe came into the game for your Wild Things. O'Keefe got Daniel Fraga to pop out with the bases loaded and nobody out. Travis Weaver struck out, and Andre Mercurio grounded out to end the inning. Then in the bottom of the fourth, again, the Freedom back on the board. Taylor Oldham walked to start things, and Andrew Godbold doubled. There are runners at second and third, nobody out. Austin Newell would strike out. Collins Cuthrell would walk, and then Josh Henderson hit a sacrifice fly. Taylor Oldham would score, and the Freedom, led by the score of 5-0. Collins Cuthrell was doubled up at second base on that sacrifice fly. Then Brian O'Keefe settled down, allowed 1 more run in the game in the 6th inning as Taylor Oldham popped out. Andrew Godbold singled, stole second. Austin Newell struck out. Collins Cuthrell then hit an RBI single that scored Godbold, made the score 6-1 at that point. And Josh Henderson grounded out to end the inning. The Wild Things getting their first run in the top half of the 6th. Jimmy Yezzo flew out. The Grant Fink tripled, getting the third with 1 out for Austin Wobrok in an RBI ground out. That scored Fink and made the score 5-1 at that point. Then Jamonrick Magruder struck out to end the game. Tony Vaca was great in this game. Went 6 innings, gave up just 1 run. It was earned on 2 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts for the right-hander. A new season high in innings pitched with 6 on the year, giving up just that 1 run on 2 hits against your Wild Things. Wild Things tried to fight back in the top of the 7th. As in that top of the 7th inning, Chris Grayson singled to lead things off and stole second. Ricky Rodriguez would then walk. Runners were at first and second. Then another wild pitch allowed the runners to move to second and third with nobody out before Dave Popkins came through with an RBI single. Grayson scored. That made the score 6-2. Next batter, Logan Uxa popped out. Then Steve Solkowski came into the game for Kyle Pollock. He popped out, and then Jimmy Yezzo struck out to end the game. Final score, Florence Freedom win this one 6-2, game 2 of this 3-game series. The winning pitcher, Tony Vaca, 1-1. The losing pitcher, Chase Cunningham, falls to 3-7 on the year. Next Wild Things broadcast tomorrow night, 6:05 first pitch between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Matt Frodden will take the mound for the Washington Wild Things, looking to improve upon his 4-4 record. Has been pretty well his last couple times out. 7 shutout innings, 2 starts ago, and then 6 innings last time out. Gave up just 1 run in that last start against Normal. So he'll look to continue on his good string of starts coming up tomorrow night in Game 3 of the 3-game series. For the Florence Freedom, on the mound tomorrow night will be Jordan Krause. Krause coming off being named the Week 11 Frontier League Pitcher of the Week. So a tough matchup for your Washington Wild Things tomorrow. Your Wild Things star of the game in this one, Brian O'Keefe out of the bullpen. Goes 4 innings of work, gives up 2 runs. Both of those runs earned. Did a very good job out of the bullpen after the 4th inning of keeping the Florence Freedom off of the scoreboard. Allowed the run in the 4th inning and a run in the 6th inning. But other than that, a clean day for him. In total, he gave up 3 hits in the outing, struck out 5, and walked 1 batter on the day. So a good outing there from Brian O'Keefe out of the bullpen. He's your Washington Wild Things star of the game. Once again, tomorrow night's broadcast can be heard at 6:05. Matt Frodden taking the hill for your Wild Things, facing off against Jordan Krause. Be sure to tune in then. But the final score tonight from UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky, the Florence Freedom take this one by the score of 6-2. Thank you for listening to the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, and have a good night, everybody.
MSA Sports. Press 1 to resume, or 3 to end broadcast. Your broadcast has been ended.